Good morning. Welcome to today's New York City Council hearing for the Committee on Public Housing. Please silence all cell phone electronic devices and do not approach the dais. If you wish to participate in today's um, hearing, you need to fill out an appearance card with the Sergeant at Arms. Chair, we're ready to begin.
I'm calling this meeting to order this morning. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this hearing of the Committee of Public Housing for the City Council. I'm Councilmember Chris Banks, chair of this committee, and I'm pleased to be joined by my colleagues. They'll be coming a little later. But today we are holding an oversight hearing on the updates related to Nycc's remediation of mold and its developments. It should not surprise anyone when I state that give us a minute. We have technical difficulty. See a lot of serious faces in the room. Smile a little. Thank you.
We will resume momentarily. We're just having minor difficulties on Zoom right now.
Mic test.
Sound check for Zoom. Sound check for Zoom. Hearing room 2. Sound check for Zoom.
Copy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to resume.
Good morning again. This meeting is called to order. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this hearing on the Committee of Public Housing for this New York City Council. I'm Council Member Chris Banks, chair of this committee, and I'm pleased to be joined by my colleagues who will be joining me a little later. Today, we are holding an oversight hearing on updates related to Nycc's remediation of mold and its developments. It should not surprise anyone when I state that mold is a serious issue. It does not only damage the structures of apartments by eating away at the building materials, but it also causes and exacerbates respiratory conditions for those who encounter the mold. The persistent presence of mold and leak issues in Nycc apartments led to a lawsuit by tenants against Nycc, known as the Baez case. The court ordered consent decree that came out of the Baez, along with the federal HUD agreement issued in 2019, spoke to the severity of the situation that Nycc allowed to fester. In those agreements, Nycc is held to a set of mandates and matrix to remediate the mold in its developments and track its performance in meeting those goals. However, despite the fact that these agreements are legally mandates, Nycc has continually failed to meet its obligations. I do acknowledge that Nycc has made some progress. For instance, the latest monitors report shows that Nycc removed mold within 5 business days of a resident complaint at a 24% rate in the first 2 quarters of 2025, compared to a 7% rate over the same time period last year. However, the HUD agreement obligations were for Nycc to have a minimum of 95% compliance rate by 2021. However, in the years since the HUD agreement was finalized, Nycc's compliance rate for this obligation ranged from 4% to 10%, and it remains to be seen what the final yearly compliance rate will be this year. Crucially, this drastically low compliance rate is seen across Nycc's mold obligations, and Nycc's tenants are suffering the consequences. Residents continue facing issues with long wait times on mold and leak repairs, ad hoc band aid fixes that don't treat the root cause, and inconsistent communication from Nycc. This cannot be allowed to continue. Residents who live with reoccurring mold and leaks in their apartments are constantly under duress. It is not hard to imagine how coming home to mold and leaks would cause stress, well, let alone the breathing problems, the health complications that one would experience. We need to make sure that we are doing our best to remediate these mold and leak conditions in a timely and comprehensive manner so that our residents can live in with health and dignity. I look forward to hearing from the administration about their efforts to improve their compliance with their mold and leak obligations. I'm also eager to hear from the federal monitor and the mold ombudsman and their teams about the issue and possible solutions presently and moving forward. Finally, I would like to hear from the expert advocates, the residents gathered here today about their experiences with mold and leaks in Nycc developments and what needs to be done so that living at Nycc does not have to be a risk for one's mental or physical well-being. I want to also thank my amazing staff, Michael Lambert, Kyle Graham, along with the Public Housing Committee staff, Jose, Charles, Carla, Dan, Reese, James, and Sierra, for all the work they've put into this hearing. Now we will move as we've done traditionally for a pre-panel, and we will now have Wanda Salas come on up. We'll have Maria Romaine and Tabitha Ward. Yes, you may approach the dais. Yes. Thank you. Um, and Tabitha, thank you. You have 3 minutes for your testimony. We thank you for coming out this morning and being a part of this hearing. We'll start with Maria Roman. You may want to press the button and make sure the light is red,
Okay.
and then you may begin your testimony.
My name is Maria Roman. I'm a member of Our Lady of Sorrows Parish, a leader in Manhattan Together Metro IAF, and I've been a resident of Baruch Houses since 1975. In July of 2019, a major leak developed in my kitchen wall, and I called Nycc many times, but the problem wasn't solved. Through Manhattan Together, I learned about the OCC, which was created through our lawsuit to help get real mold and leak repairs. I contacted them in March of 2020, and through persistent follow-up, they helped me to get the wall fixed in July of 2020. And this July, a smaller leak returned. I reported it to Nycc, but things didn't start moving until after I called the OCC. Nycc scheduled plastering and painting after the work was done for July of 2026. But thanks to the OCC's help, the work was completed on September 23rd of this year. We also know that many Nycc employees, especially Executive Vice President Daniel Green, are working very hard to improve Nycc's response. Unfortunately, too many tenants still suffer unnecessarily. The OCC has made a real difference for tenants, but they can't do everything. They need more resources and more authority to hold Nycc accountable. For example, in my case, Nycc staff often fails to show up when scheduled. There's still a hole in the staircase in my building from earlier repair work. I have a recurring mold problem around the tub. A Nycc employee told me that's because the roof fan on my line isn't working. That was months ago. It hasn't been fixed. No matter how hard I scrub, that mold keeps coming back. And until they fix the fan, it will keep coming back. The OCC has proven that tenants don't have to accept these terrible conditions. But to keep making progress, they need more resources, more authority to hold Nycc accountable. Thank you.
Thank you. Wanda Salas, you may go. You want to pray? Yes. Thank you.
Chairman Banks and members of the Committee on Public Housing, good morning. My name is Wanda Salas. I am a resident of Amsterdam Houses and a leader of Manhattan Together. I'm here to share how the OCC and Manhattan Together helped me make my home for my first child safe. After the Nycc annual inspection in 2020, I was told that our floors were to be replaced, and I simply waited and waited. like a good tenant. Twice our apartment was tested for lead, yet I was never informed it required remediation. When my daughter was born in 2023, I had no idea how dangerous our home was. Later, a contractor who came to look at our ceiling because I reported a crack pointed to the floor at the possible asbestos there. Nycc staff had come to do some fixing, never told me that was an issue. Yet when the floor tester came, he simply said, "You will get relocated." I was alarmed and I started packing. Yet when nothing happened, I visited the office only to be told that another test had to be scheduled. What? My daughter was nearing crawling age. I repeatedly contacted property management with no result. I was freaking out. I was stressed, desperate, with nothing. It was not good for me. I remember so clearly the stress. Then, by grace, I met a volunteer from Manhattan Together who guided me through the process and helped me get Nycc to finally do the work. I'm so grateful for everybody that said yes and helped me out. Unfortunately, after the asbestos and lead remediation, I was very happy. Nycc left a gap under the bathroom window and the shower panels, and mold began to grow. 6 months later, the carpenter removed the bathtub panels and left the walls bared, covered with plastic. The mold became uncontrollable. I had filters. I was freaking out. I had to keep the door closed. I was so nervous for my daughter, especially my daughter. Luckily, I learned about the OCC through Manhattan Together, and I took my baby across town at night to attend the meeting because I really needed the help that the Nycc staff was not giving to me. The OCC was wonderful.
You may continue.
They followed up with calls and texts and emails. Unlike Nycc, and they finished the job, and they even contacted me to tell me, like, to make sure that the job was done after the job was done with pictures. They wanted everything, and I felt so grateful that my daughter could bathe in the bathroom, and I didn't have to keep the door closed. And I'm just so happy. So thank you, Manhattan Together. Thank you, OCC. My daughter is safe at home, and now I have 2 little girls, and they used every space in my apartment. Thank you.
Thank you. Tabitha.
Good morning. My name is Tabitha Ward, and today, even though I do not live in Nycc housing, I do live in low-income housing, and I want to discuss a solution for the mold and leaks and other repairs that needs to be done in not only Nycc housing, but in other low-income housing where they're receiving federal, state, or city funding. Today you will hear different types of solutions and progress reports from the committees and the different panels that will come before you and speak today. But I also ask that the committee considers also an alternative while they are discussing their solutions and their progress and what they are doing. I'm asking that you consider to allow housing voucher recipients to directly receive housing vouchers, their full award amounts, deposited onto their benefit cards or deposited into their checking accounts. By allowing the housing voucher recipients to receive the full award amount regardless as to the rent, it will give them an opportunity to have a say in where they live, how they live, and it'll also allow them to have a vested interest in their communities and their environments. Also, it will not matter if landlords, and to include low-income housing, it will not matter if they accept city FEPs, Section 8, Section 9, or anything else, because it will be solely the housing vouchers recipients' responsibility for applying for and submitting the paperwork for housing vouchers, and it will be included as their income, proof of income. This will eliminate, by allowing the housing voucher recipient to directly receive the full award amount onto their benefit card or into their directly deposited into their account. It will eliminate slumlords, unscrupulous landlord practices, computer glitches, and the failure of landlords to make repairs to include mold, mildew, leaks. And as it stands, they will, right now, the housing vouchers, because they're directly receiving the housing vouchers, they're going to receive that regardless to if they make these repairs, regardless to if they do anything about mold, mildew, and leaks. It doesn't matter. They will receive it anyway. It will not cost the city, state, or the federal government any undue burdens or additional financial costs for allowing them to directly receive it, because it will just require just a couple of changes to the computer systems, which will direct that funding onto their benefit cards or into their accounts, and they can pay their rent and pull the money from it. You can include language that states that the landlords have a certain amount of time to respond to mold, mildew, and leaks. And if they don't do this in a certain amount of time, the housing voucher recipient can hire outside people to come in and make these repairs, and they can deduct it from the rent by paying the rent, the balance, and giving the landlord the receipt, the original receipt for whatever repairs that were made.
Thank you for your testimony. Just have a couple of questions before the pre-panel leaves. And I guess I'll direct this one. Well, I guess I'll direct this to Ms. Romaine and Ms. Salas. What has been the most challenging part of getting your mold and leak issues addressed by Nycc?
In my experience, when I reported mold in Nycc, the staff comes in, they take a picture, then they come back, and then I have to wait for a schedule, and then I call, and I'm like, okay. And then the person from my bathroom recently, they came, and after they agreed that there's mold, nothing happened. But OCC was like on it, and by the time Nycc finally responded, OCC had taken care of it. So it's the delay, the taking the extra steps and not communicating. So I cannot plan.
And if you had the opportunity, which you do now, to make a recommendation to Nycc to improve its handling of mold and leak complaints, what would it be?
Well, I noticed in the app, that when I make a complaint, I take pictures, and I do that. So when I take a picture, if it's not clear, then send the staff member. But if it's clear, then give me a call, confirm, and then make my appointment and communicate. It seems like it takes so long. So just, slow down the steps and communicate with the tenant. Hey, we're coming and we're gonna help you. I just want to be helped.
Right. Ms. Roman?
I'd like accountability.
Preston?
Sorry, thank you. Because we do put in the complaint through the app,
Right.
and someone will come in. I put one in last Friday because of the recurring mold around the tub. And I got a call this morning. Are you home now? No, I'm not home right now. I will be home after 1. Yet, as it's happened so many times in the past, hopefully not today, but no one will come at 1. Maybe they'll come at 3 or 4 or 5. Then they'll come the next day and they'll look at it, and 10 days will come by. And people will come, look, say, but nothing will get done. Nothing will get done until I call the OCC. And once I do, then everybody starts. And we have 3 or 4 people knocking in.
So what would be your recommendation to Nycc?
Accountability.
Okay.
I think they need to follow up, know what everyone is doing. Just more accountability, I think.
More accountability, okay. And communication, yes. Sales.
I have a request that the OCC also takes over the heat radiation, because I reported that our radiator is damaged. And the person came in to check, is real, and then nothing. Nothing.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for your compassionate and passionate testimony, and thank you. All right. Appreciate it. Now we will next we'll welcome a testimony from our federal monitor and Obsesman. Okay. All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Okay. You may begin, Mr. Monitor.
Thank you, Chairman Banks, and thank you for having us here today. My name is Neil Borofsky. I'm one of the co-monitors with my partner, Matt Cipolla, who could not be here today and sends his apologies. We were appointed to be the federal monitor under the HUD agreement in February of 2024, about 20 months ago. Of course, we're not the original monitor, we're the successor. Guidepost had had that role for about 5 years previous, going back to February of 2019 when the monitorship was first, the HUD agreement was first executed. When we got to NYCC, of course, the first thing we did was to do a comprehensive overview of the different requirements under the HUD agreement, and first and foremost was mold. We knew that as we just heard from the first resident panel, it is just top of mind for residents, the scourge of mold, its impact, as well as the very, very long delays that residents experience in getting their mold remediated. And we took a look at the statistics, and it was dire. As you mentioned in your introductory comments, Chairman Bank, an 8% response rate as far as timely response to mold when it's supposed to be 95%. Is about as dire as it could be, and we saw struggles across the board. As we looked, though, one of the things that was a little bit encouraging was the fact in the previous 5 years, it's not as if nothing was being done. The first monitor, my co-panelist Nycc, had been putting in work and laying a foundation for necessary reform, but it wasn't yet being translated in the data and as we saw, in the resident experience. And so we focused on how can we bring some of these this effort to the surface and start seeing it results. And as Chairman Banks, as you mentioned in your introductory comments, we are starting to see some of that success. An increase from 8% to 28%, which is the most recent statistics of how often NYCC responds timely to mold under the terms of the HUD agreement, is an extraordinary increase in a relatively short period of time. Is it enough? Of course not. It's still unacceptably low. And one of the things you heard from the residents, for the 72% who are not getting that timely response, it is cold comfort to hear that 28%, that there is that compliance. But it is a sign of progress, and you don't turn a super tanker around instantly. And the key thing is to build on that success, take a look at what has led to this, because the fact is, for the first time, we really do see a path towards compliance that had not existed before. And our focus, and I think one of the things that has helped bring this progress and what we need to maintain our focus on is right in line with what the residents were talking about: efficiency and accountability. Because the reality is that the portfolio of NYCC structures is well past its expiration date. And the plumbing of NYCC, those pipes, they're not getting younger. And they're going to continue to fail at increasing rates until they're replaced. But that is a problem that is not a billion-dollar problem. It is a tens of billion-dollar problem, and that money doesn't currently exist. So a lot of what we do, and I think a lot of what my co-panelists do, is that bridge between today and the eventual need to replace those piping, to find that money and do the necessary infrastructure and structural improvements. And so a couple of areas that we detailed in our testimony and in our most recent report of how do you address that in between, that repair and maintenance that is so necessary, is again focusing on the ideas of efficiency and accountability. So, for example, things like dashboards, so that Nycc could have a better sense of how it's deploying its assets, and then accountability to make sure that the people are doing the necessary work so they get it right the first time and don't have to keep coming back. Idea of pilots and certain projects to attack this extraordinarily long backlog, as the resident mentioned, getting a date in mid to late 2026. And so things like the Restore and Renew program, which I know all of the people on this panel really push Nycc, and Nycc to its credit has accepted, which is just being launched in the Sotomayor houses. The idea of having a SWAT team of dozens of temporary skilled trades to deal with some of the worst performing assets, to get those out from under the backlog, to free Nycc resources to do all the other work it needs to get done. The rolling out of the leak standard procedure. This is a really important development, and it's something that's been a long time coming, and we've all pushed very hard. But this will mean that now maintenance workers and skilled trade workers, they're going to have the necessary training and tools to do the job and to do it well. It's also going to give us additional data so we can measure and make sure there's a level of accountability, including measuring performance in one of the HUD agreement requirements that hasn't been measured in the first 7 years, which is Nycc's obligation to remove standing water. And overlying all of this, and again, what you heard so much on that resident panel, resident communication. There is nothing worse from an efficiency perspective as well as an emotional perspective than when an appointment is made and it's not kept, either because the Nycc worker doesn't show up or because the resident is not home because they didn't get adequate communication to know to be there to get that repair done. And we detail in our testimony as well as in our most recent report the numerous efforts that we're doing and are starting to have success in those areas. Chairman Banks, there has been some level of success, but it is fragile. Only with continued focus, attention from this committee, from those here at this panel doing oversight, and Nycc itself, is there going to be a path forward. It has to be maintained, and above all, the budget has to be protected. All of this news out of Washington about potentially draconian budget cuts to public housing, it's hard to overstate just how devastating that will be, not just for Nycc, but for its residents who always seem to be the political football, the ones who suffer the most. And so, but with that sustained effort and with sustained budget, we do believe that we can get Nycc and keep Nycc on the right path forward. Thank you.
Opening statement. We'll now move to the othersman.
This works. The OCC and ombudsperson model has worked and continues to work. What the Baez plaintiffs, Nycc and Special Master McGovern proposed, U.S. District Judge William H. Pauley, then Loretta Preska, and Special Master James Francis have implemented works. For the first time ever, as far as we know, a comprehensive, independent, resident-centered resource to have mold and leak conditions, backed by a federal consent decree, is available to all Nycc residents. With Nycc's complete buy-in, this collaboration and collaborative approach with mechanisms to ensure Nycc's accountability has made a difference in the lives of thousands. We're helping individuals and systemically making a difference. Change is incremental. In a world of instant gratification, it takes hard work, individuals, and institutions like this one, the City Council, to identify and support positive strategies that make a difference in the lives of thousands of Nycc residents. We at the OCC are not just a call center. We cultivate trust by listening, empathetic listening, processing information, tapping into Nycc's databases, and providing support to residents tailored to their individual needs. We deliver data-driven expertise to not only help residents, but to help Nycc make data-informed decision-making systemically. The OCC is a call center unlike many. We do not analyze and make decisions on the fly. When we hear from a resident, we don't just make a quick decision. We listen, We think about it, we review the data, and then call the resident back appropriately informed and ready to help. As a result of the Baez consent decree reforms, NYCC has, with respect to the overwhelming majority of cases being handled by the OCC, dedicated itself to serving the residents that have sought our help. There has not been a single instance of which I am aware that NYCC has not appropriately responded to our inquiries, requests, and orders. After all, it is required to do so by the very terms of the consent decree, and for the most part, my orders are unappealable. It's been clear since 2019, when we became operational, that NYCC has not just responded with the bare minimum of effort. It's dedicated substantial resources to the matters brought to the OCC and to myself. It created OMAR and the MRU, whose staff have been responsive and dedicated to resolving our cases as they arise. Yes, the Ombudsperson call center and this model is working, but we're unknown to the majority of NYCC residents. My esteemed colleagues at Jenner and Block, diligently performing their oversight functions, are pretty well known. But our office, in many respects, the boots on the ground as it relates to mold and leaks, remains foreign to NYCC residents. Even this body, the City Council, recognized that in 2020 when it passed the provision of information to tenants of NYCC regarding the mold ombudsperson. That would have required the mayor to designate an office or an agency to distribute information regarding our role. My understanding is that it was returned unsigned by Mayor de Blasio in 2021. So outreach has been left to the Baez plaintiffs, NYCC, and us. While conditions remain difficult for NYCC residents in a variety of aspects, many if not all of which the monitor is tasked with overseeing, conditions remain difficult for residents facing leaks and mold. Need for capital repairs remains dire. Many buildings need full rehab and massive capital repairs, such as the replacement of piping, replacement of roofs, repairs of facade damage, all which lead to leaks and mold. That we cannot order. The Ombudsperson has no authority to order those capital repairs, but we work on a case-by-case basis to help residents and ensure that NYCC employs its best efforts to address tenant leaks and mold while helping NYCC uncover opportunities for systemic reform in pursuit of transformational, organizational, and cultural change. We are, like Mr. Brodsky said, a bridge. Thank you, Chairman Banks. Thank you, the Public Housing Committee. Thank you for the invite. This is the first time we have been asked to appear before you. Thank you to the rest of the council, others in attendance here or via live feed, and NYCC residents and tenant advocate groups in attendance as well. My name is Cesar de Castro. In 2019, I was appointed at the recommendation of the parties to the Baez litigation to serve as the ombudsperson. As part of my appointment, in partnership with the global advisory firm Stout, that also serves as the independent data analyst, we created the Ombudsperson Call Center, or the OCC. Here with me today is Shannon McManus, he's sitting behind me, an associate counsel in my office, Neil Steinkamp from Stout and the independent data analyst, and Kirsten Acevedo, also from Stout and responsible for many things, not the least of which is running the OCC on a daily basis. I should also say that the independent mold analyst, Microecologies, not here today, is a critical part of the team of experts assisting NYCC through the revised consent decree. Now, in preparing for this, I understand that a little background may be helpful for the council. So by way of background, and for those sort of unaware of how Baez fits in this framework, among other requirements, NYCC is required to resolve simple cases of mold or leaks within 7 days and complex cases within 15 days. My powers come from part Roman numeral 6 of the consent decree at paragraphs 25 and 20 to 27. These paragraphs create the ombudsperson. In turn, we created the OCC to handle resident complaints and the stream of calls to the OCC. We've received over 100,000 calls. The basics for us is to first determine whether NYCC is in compliance with the 7 or 15-day requirement, depending on the circumstances. If so, we'll monitor that case. If not, which is almost all of our calls, we see if NYCC is engaged in its best efforts to resolve the issues appropriately. As part of that review, I can require NYCC to complete the repair within a specified number of days. I can require NYCC to approve and assign the highest priority to the transfer of a tenant to another apartment. I can't order a transfer, but I can ask NYCC to prioritize that transfer. I can order an independent contractor hired through our special master to complete the repairs. And I can request our independent mold analyst to inspect and prepare a plan for remediation of that tenant's apartment. If my orders are ignored, or I otherwise find that NYCC has acted in some sort of bad faith or failed to exercise its best efforts, I can order what the consent decree determines appropriate relief, which includes a fine to NYCC if I find it has systemically failed to comply. We do not have a team of workers and contractors. Our job is to ensure that NYCC fulfills its obligations. We seek to develop trust with the residents. We emphasize our independence. We take an empathetic approach. We listen. We digest. We pull information from NYCC's systems. All of our calls are recorded for review. Residents can email us, text us, and we can conduct virtual inspections. Our system is transparent to NYCC. They have full access to our system. We then call the resident back within hours or a day. We do all of this with, give or take, a staff of 15 or 16. We have 2 to 3 lawyers, me included, 4 paralegals, 7 call center employees, and Ms. Acevedo, who oversees the operations, technology, and reporting of the OCC and has regular dialogue and collaboration with NYCC, plaintiffs, and other stakeholders. Since our launch at the end of 2019, we have assisted more than 30,000 NYCC residents. As of July 31st, we've processed over 20,000 complaints across 16,000 apartments, serving more than 31,000 households. We've averaged about 300 resident reported complaints per month. The annual volume of complaints has steadily declined from 2019 to 2023. There was an uptick in 2024, and we believe that 2025 will be similar to the 2024 numbers. We've seen the average amount of time to resolve a mold and leak complaint be reduced from 190 days on average to 70 days. That's still not in compliance with the BIAS and HUD monitor benchmarks, but quite an improvement by NYCC. Our biggest challenge is not getting NYCC to respond to our directives. Our biggest challenge is not getting residents to trust us. Our biggest challenge is not getting residents to allow access to their apartments when NYCC is scheduled to do work. One of our biggest challenges is helping residents deal with scheduling delays, as you heard in the prior panel, and helping them navigate mold and leak issues when their building is in desperate need or actually undergoing capital repairs. But our biggest challenge by far is awareness, making sure that we are serving all of the residents that we can. The reality is we are not. People do not know about us, or they forget about us, so people do not call. In 2022, we conducted a survey. 96% of those residents surveyed were not aware of the OCC. Every time I meet with a resident association, that point is underscored. I've focused a great deal of effort this past year on outreach. I've met with resident associations, public officials, including members of this body. I've appeared in the media. We've been trying to create multiple pipeline channels to help as many residents as we can. When we increase outreach, our cases grow. We intend to continue outreach channels, including mailers to residents, which we found is very effective, and NYCC has agreed to do that. We need this council. I've presented to some members of the council, as I mentioned, individually, and I'm happy to meet with any member of the council or your staff. But what we see as NYCC's biggest problems are, first, as we've discussed, NYCC has chronic infrastructure issues. Second, many or most of its buildings are in need of substantial capital improvements, and NYCC will need to relocate those residents if the money comes through for that to actually happen. Third, its aging backlog of mold and leak work orders. It has to attack them, and it has, and I'm sure they will be addressing how they are attacking that. Fourth, dealing with and solving scheduling delays. That is a big issue. Fifth, handling leaks. The majority of Baez is leak related, but it has learned, that is, Nycc has learned from its approach to mold. What did they do for mold, which they've gotten their numbers down? Develop and launch a standard procedure. Train everyone appropriately, then launch and implement that procedure. We saw results with the mold standard procedure, results I'm sure Nycc will talk to you about in the next panel. Hopefully the same is going to happen with the leak standard procedure. And sixth, root cause investigations. Nycc must get to the root causes of tenant mold. That will certainly lead to more cases, more calls to the OCC undoubtedly, but it will also lead to the identification of additional capital needs, and they need to get better at that. So I'm back where I started. The ombudsperson and the OCC, this process works. Working collaboratively with Nycc and holding them accountable has worked. It's allowed us to serve thousands of New Yorkers. But we know there are so many more that could use our help if they only knew about us. We're optimistic from the progress that's been made, that with continued oversight, collaboration with Nycc, and the accountability that's baked into the Baez revised consent decree, that sustained and lasting change will be made, case by case. Thank you.
Thank you for your opening statement. I'm actually going to begin by first acknowledging we've been joined by Councilmember Botcher. And now I'll go into my line of questions. And I'll be going back and forth between the ombudsman and the federal monitor. The HUD agreement required a 95% compliance with mold remediation timeframes by January 31st of 2021. What is Nycc's current compliance percentage for this benchmark?
It's what we call a blended rate because there's different components. So Nycc has different times for which to respond to different things. So cleanup, for example, has to be within 5 days. Simple repairs, stuff that can be done by a maintenance worker, has to be done within 7 days. And complex repairs, usually something involving a skilled tradesman, that's 15 days. So there are three different components, and then that all goes into a blended rate, which shows that number. And yes, as we discussed earlier, it was just an area of just stagnation. I mean, the numbers dropped during year 2 of the monitorship and stayed in the single digits up until last year. But a lot of what the progress that we're seeing comes from that initial response time. So up until last year, it would take Nycc on average about 9 days after someone would call in a complaint, not to the OCC, but directly to Nycc. They've been able to manage to get that down to 3 days. And so if you're getting someone in the apartment within 3 days instead of 9 days, not surprisingly, everything contracts, right? You're able, if the person is in there, they can clean it up when they go and inspect or shortly thereafter. If it's something that can be done simply, a stuck window, right? The maintenance worker can do that and get that in within that 7-day window, and you can get the skilled trades scheduled. So that's part of the reason why you're seeing the improvement in numbers. And the second is, as you have more resources available from some of these projects, we talked about Restore and Renew, it's not the only one. Now you're freeing up resources as some dedicated resources attack the backlog, the 60,000+, that frees up the regular daily maintenance workers, caretakers, those who are in the apartments every day, to more quickly address their concerns as they rise.
Yeah. Well, to your knowledge, has Nycc ever achieved 95% compliance? And what are some of the most significant barriers to compliance you've identified?
So I think we're nearing or at peak right now at 28%. So they have not come close to 95%. I mean, part of the barriers are, number one, as my co-panelist just said, it's sticking the little finger in the dike. Right. I mean, and here that sort of metaphor works because of the water aspect of it. NYCC needs an enormous amount of capital improvements. A pipe that is way too old and is leaking eventually needs to be replaced. An entire building line of old pipe needs to be replaced. But until NYCC can get the money and capital and resources to go in, open up that building, replace that pipe, relocate the resident, because you can't live in that apartment while that's happening, they're Band-Aids, right? They're necessarily Band-Aids. And I don't mean that in any way, shape, or form as a criticism. These are necessary, important Band-Aids. But that Band-Aid is going to come off. And so it just creates this resource suck of constantly repairing and Band-Aiding something that needs to be completely replaced. And that's not NYCC's fault, right? It's not NYCC's fault that it's been the disinvestment in public housing, not just in NYCC, but across the country. And so that is one of the big challenges. And with any type of backlog, it's really hard to get into some of those older areas. But again, what I really have to commend NYCC for is it is a seemingly impossible task, but it is one that they are taking on, and they're putting the resources, they're putting the commitment, they're working with us, they're working with the ombudsperson. And that's why you're seeing this type of success. And there really is, I understand all of the resident frustration and share it, but there is a can-do attitude at NYCC that my understanding has not always been there. And the current management, and I know Dan Green is going to be speaking to you next, and it is a can-do attitude. And it's not just, by the way, in mold. It's really across the board. There's been a notions in NYCC that certain aspects of the HUD agreement are unattainable, cannot be met. And then there's people who come in and say, yes, we can. And again, I'm going off a little bit, but one of the things I would point to is response rate to rats, right? There is a response rate, a 2-day response rate to rats that was in the HUD agreement. And what had the general sense at NYCC for years was that is an unattainable standard. And in the last year and a half or so since we've been there, they've shattered it. They beat it consistently. They find a way. And so I hear the resident frustration. I share the resident frustration. But the folks at NYCC, they're really working hard on this and being creative and open to the solutions. And things like Restore and Renew, this new project, is one where, again, they were open to it. We've discussed it. We're launching it. And now we're going to see if it works. And my hope is if it works, we can then work with NYCC to find additional funding to expand it. Because once you get that backlog, once you get that backlog and get out from under these tens of thousands of old work orders, that 95% is going to be attainable. I truly believe that.
All right. Do you plan to require any updates to the mold and leak action plan, or are you aware of any such plans by NYCC to update this action plan?
I think as far as requiring an update versus continually working with them in details. I mean, these action plans are important, and I don't mean to take away from them, but they have a tendency sometimes to become an academic exercise. And just to build on my co-panelist, you take a look at something like the leak standard protocol. I want their resources there. I want NYCC focused on rolling that out, on training that, on coming up with the necessary components, because that is what is going to translate into meaningful impact for residents. When NYCC worker pull out their smartphone and see, okay, this is exactly what I do for this type of leak, and is able to have the training to do that, and then can enter into the data so that NYCC could see, okay, this is the trend here. This is what's going on in this building. This is what's going on this building line, this plumbing line. We can see, okay, here is how NYCC is responding within 48 hours. Are they meeting this standard or not? These are the types of things that are going to unlock future reform. These are the type of data that's going to give new paths, new ideas to be creative. And to me, that is really the key. And it worked with the mold standard protocol. I think it's going to work with the leak standard protocol. We've all put a lot of effort into it. Nycc has put a lot of effort into it. It's way behind schedule. It's too late, but it is being rolled out. I think projects like that, and then being super smart about it and really learning from the data, seeing what can be improved. And I will say we have really good partners in this, and that's what really gives me the most hope in Nycc with the ombudsperson, for the residents.
Thank you. Can you share more about the collaboration between the monitorship team and Nycc's mold remediation unit? And what does that look like day to day? And a big picture, who is driving the policy shifts and the broader initiatives to improve mold remediation, like the standard procedures or the IT updates?
We work hand in hand, and so our team is structured. We have a mold team that's on our team, and it comprises of different members of the monitorship team. We have attorneys at Jenner and Block who are day to day working with their Nycc counterparts. We have Turner and Townsend, who is one of our vendors. They're construction experts, and we try to bring the different skills of this different set together. So, for example, Turner and Townsend is working on a data project right now to try to deal with the not just the with the backlog,
Right.
and how to is there a smarter way of dealing with the backlog? And we'll deal very closely with Nycc. We actually get the data from Nycc. We'll analyze the data. We will share it with them. We will give them recommendations going forward, and then they will hopefully execute. When you're talking about resident communication, right, which is such an important part,
Right.
we have an organizational change group of the monitorship, and Turner and Townsend is part of it. We also have Quadell, which is a public housing expert that works on our side. What do we know of best practices of other housing agencies? What can we do within the existing IT framework? Moving away from what hasn't worked, which we know hasn't worked as far as resident communication, brainstorming new ideas, using something as simple as getting and using and updating email, changing the content. These are all these little tiny things that don't sound like a big deal. One of the things that we help work with Nycc to bring about, just as an example, when someone calls to get a repair, the wait time can be brutal.
Yes.
So one of the things we talked about, how about a callback, right? I call somebody when I'm doing, whatever it is, Verizon or Con Ed, they'll say, push 1 to get a call back. And now Nycc does that.
Oh.
And so those are small things, because we would hear residents, hey, after 25 minutes, I got to go and hang up, and then I have to call back some other time. And then meanwhile, Nycc doesn't even know to deal with the problem.
Right.
Now they can schedule a call back, and you lose that frustration. And these are like a lot of the little things that we focus on day to day. And the hope is that over time they will have this cumulative impact. Because again, there is nothing worse than a Nycc resident waiting for that appointment, months and months, and either nobody shows or they don't even know that appointment was there because of a breakdown in communication, and the Nycc worker shows up and can't get into the apartment. It's a simple thing,
Right.
but it's devastating.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
But we are really, again, Nycc has been a wonderful partner, and the OCC has just been also a tremendous partner. And I hear you, and whatever we can do to help, because the impact of the call center is so extraordinary, and I have to think that we also could do more to get the word out. I know it is top of mind of our team,
Right.
but man, we also have to do better, because it's such an important resource. And I frankly hadn't realized those numbers, which is 2 or 3% of Nycc residents know about this important resource.
Thank you. Has Nycc ever disputed or pushed back on any of your findings regarding mold and leak compliance?
No, I will. Well, let me say that. Yes, because it is a partnership and a dialogue,
Okay.
and we have a lot of ideas. We have a lot of good ideas, and sometimes our ideas are not so good, to be honest with you. But that's what a partnership is. It's a back and forth collaboration, and we want Nycc to push back on us. We don't want Nycc to just reflexively say, "Well, thank you, monitors. That's a great idea. We're going to do it," and then we end up wasting resources or wasting time. And so there is pushback. I consider it to be a healthy level of pushback, the type of pushback that we want in a partner. Sometimes there's disputes, of course, but we haven't had a single dispute that we haven't worked out.
Right.
And look, and sometimes I would say the areas where there is a little bit of frustration is there's just not enough resources to do something that we want to do. And that's just a reality of disinvestment. But I will say Restore and Renew, going back to that, which is launching in Sotomayor, they found a way, right? This was one where there wasn't enough resources, and we worked with them collaboratively to find the resources, and we got there.
Thank you.
And so I would say healthy amount of pushback. I haven't had a single instance where Nycc has refused to do something or refused to engage or found a different way to solve a problem.
Thank you. What specific recommendations have you made to Nycc to improve their performance to remove mold in a timely manner?
So a lot of the ones that we're talking about, in my testimony and now, because again, I think the key thing here is that where Nycc fails, it's not because of a conscious or deliberate indifference, right?
Right.
It's because of how do you find a way to squeeze more juice out of the lemon. And so a lot of our recommendations are about increasing efficiency, working within existing programs. So again, something like streamlining resident communication, that's a whole set of recommendations that we have. You're constantly working them with dashboards. We don't do as much formal recommendations as perhaps the prior monitor did, because, and it sort of goes back to your question about action plans, we don't want to get caught, and this is not in any way a criticism of the former monitor, they did a tremendous job, but our approach is trying to be more collaborative. So we identify problems and then try to work together to get to the solution. And so that's usually iterative. We really almost always prefer to build on and improve an existing thing than creating a new thing, just because it's more timely and more efficient. And so we don't necessarily have, okay, here's these 10 recommendations that you need to do. It's much more, again, to go back to an example, there's a problem with resident communication.
Right.
We can all agree there's a problem with resident communication. Let's brainstorm ways to make it better. So we might say, hey, how about this? And Nycc's response would be like, well, that's a good idea, but we think if we use this path forward, that might be more efficient. And it's just my experience as a monitor, when you can get to that level of trust, that I think that we've achieved now, it's taken a little while,
Right.
you get that type of efficient back and forth. And that's really where we're trying to execute now.
Well, I'm glad you put an emphasis on communication. As you've heard through the pre-panel, that's number one. And that can go a long way with helping to ease the stress that a lot of Nycc residents have to deal with when they have to deal with these issues.
It's heartbreaking.
Right.
I mean, it's just listening to the first panel. It's just if your heart doesn't break when you hear
Most definitely.
the idea of two babies at home, it's just it's just heartbreaking. We all that's why we're all here.
That's why
right?
we're here,
Is to make sure that doesn't happen.
To the ombudsman, how many total mold and leak complaints has the OCC received since November 2019? And what percentage of these complaints involve reoccurring mold in the same unit? And how many of these units have you encountered with mold complaints 3 or more times per year?
So in terms of numbers, we've handled 100,000 calls. That's not 100,000 complaints.
Right.
We've handled roughly 30,000 cases. That's sort of the number, 31,000 cases. But in terms of the recurrence, let me address your last question first, which is, why do people, we can give you those stats. We report them to the court. We're required to report them to the court. Everything we do is transparent and public. We issue reports to the court. It's on the docket. It's on our website. People can see the numbers. You can see the numbers. You can pull them all. People having recurrence, that's going to happen. It's going to happen with the need for capital repairs. It's just going to happen.
Right.
And we have gotten calls back, certainly, but people call us back because they trust us. They call us back. We call them back. It's an open dialogue. It works, we think it works incredibly well. In terms of how many, what that number is, either of my co-panelists can if they have the numbers, but we have so many numbers.
Right.
Okay.
What are the most common root causes that you've identified for the reoccurring mold? And have you identified specific developments with chronic mold problems?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, first of all, that's why we say most of Baez is leaks.
Right.
Leaks. Okay, so the leak standard procedure coming out and being rolled out and people being trained on it is going to make a huge difference. Huge difference.
And the most chronic?
But the most chronic places, yes. Let me give you an example of how we do that. One, we know where everyone is calling from. So if you called me today, we would pull up your apartment. We would be calling you back later. We'd pull everything we knew about your apartment so that we could help you. We'll know what development you're in. But we have our statistics from our calls. But we also have access to NYCC's sort of databases and statistics. We also have a incredibly collaborative approach with NYCC. It's the only way we can do this work. And so I don't remember exactly when it was, but it was around the pandemic and after. We were seeing trends in certain developments.
Right.
And we, with NYCC, got together and I had meetings with each development's maintenance staff and their property management team to say, you have to understand what we are, who we are, what we're doing here in our oversight efforts, and also that we are the boots on the ground with respect to calls to us. We saw an increase in responsive time in those developments. So we do track it, and we know where the most mold cases are.
The most chronic, okay. The independent mold analysis semi-annual report from early this month noted that your team is focusing on identifying and tracing the source of plumbing leaks from above. Can you share more about that and how specifically you're working with NYCC to address that issue?
Well, so that goes to my point about root cause. You have to trace. You have to find the root cause of whatever mold or leak is happening. Now, the independent mold analyst's job is they're out in the field. They're doing the work. They're in the apartments. They are training NYCC workers. Sometimes they're doing also oversight and quality assurance to make sure people know to trace that leak, to trace a building line and identify maybe if there's something larger going on in a particular development. And so we do that because we are talking to residents. In a very simple way, if you think about it, if someone were to call us today and say, there is a leak from above, obviously we know what the apartment above would be, and we try to be proactive and engage, and at least have NYCC engage with that resident above. Certainly there's sometimes issues, communication issues, which I know you're going to probably ask questions about communication, but which is a huge focus. It is about communicating with the residents' neighbors. Right? If I'm a NYCC resident, I should not have to go and trace the line and knock on all the doors of all of my neighbors to say, hey, what are you doing? Why is water flowing down here? That is not appropriate, and residents shouldn't have to do that. And so that's part of how, every single case, and we act in a case-by-case basis, involves that. We end up trying to see what's going on in the apartments around it.
Before I ask my next questions, we've been joined via Zoom by Councilmember Chiose. When it comes,
I'm sorry.
Oh.
If Ms. Acevedo could jump
yes,
in, she had
you
something
may.
she wanted to add.
I was just going to add to that. We also do leak clusters. So that's where we use our data and the technology to identify different apartment lines all throughout NYCC, where we see a high rate of work orders being created and high rates of work orders being created with no work being done. So we have the ability to use data to find situations where a resident might have had their work order inappropriately closed. and we do outbound outreach to those residents and just check in. And what we have found is that there are situations where the resident might have had their work order closed because they can't have the work done in their apartment, right? They have the symptom of a leak, meaning there's water coming down, but Nycc can't fix a leak in their apartment. It's coming from floors above. So their work order gets closed, but then they're left with water damage, which can lead to mold and a series of other issues. And sometimes there's a hole in their wall because Nycc was trying to chase it. And so that's an area where we've been very effective in helping residents because we're able to open up a case and ensure Nycc is able to create additional work orders, and we're able to ensure that they work on the communication to improve on.
And then let me, since we're talking about orders, how many orders have you issued against Nycc since November 2019? And how many of those orders has Nycc fully complied with? And has Nycc ever refused to comply with an order?
No refusals. So the way our ordering system works is the consent decree says I can order the following things, and as the ombudsperson, I can issue these orders. Now, we created the OCC out of the powers of the ombudsperson. So the way that we approach it is that, and we discussed this with Nycc, is that in our system, which, as I said, is completely transparent to Nycc. So if I am looking at a particular case today, Nycc can see that we're looking at that particular case, but we have communication within those, for lack of a better term, tickets or work orders.
Right.
And so in their communications to Nycc, Nycc, provide me with an update on this ticket in 2 days, 5 days, or today, or what happened today. Now, we consider those orders. They have to be complied with. Nycc has been totally fine with us not having to issue a formal order. Super cost effective in the sense that, you know, as a lawyer acting as in oversight, I could approach this like a judge and say, okay, and I did this early on, issued sort of decisions.
Right.
Here are cases that we want you to do, these 200 cases, 500, 100. We did that. It's cumbersome. It doesn't make much sense, and it doesn't help the resident. It does help the resident, but it's quicker to do it within. So I can't give you a number because it's so many, because we are in cases daily. And anytime a call center employee says in a ticket, Nycc, give me an update, or I say in a ticket, or my employees say in a ticket, we want X, that's an order, and Nycc has complied. I mean, I can't think of a time when they have not.
And just for argument's sake, what recourse do you have if Nycc fails to comply with a compliant?
Well,
Fails to comply with an order.
If they thumb their nose at me and say, we're not doing it, I have a mechanism in the consent decree where I can find that they're acting in bad faith, which is what I think your question is. If they're in bad faith, well, I can fine Nycc or any other what the consent decree determines appropriate remedy. It doesn't define appropriate remedy, so it's whatever I choose. Now that is an exception to the general unappealability of my orders,
Okay.
that they can go to the court. So let's say tomorrow I were to find that they are ignoring so-and-so's apartment and I issue a fine. They could then appeal to the special master and to the district court judge and say that was unfair or whatever their point. We've never had to go there. We've never even been close.
Okay. And what is the average time Nycc takes to comply with your order? And what percentage of the time does Nycc meet deadlines set in your orders?
Average time, I don't think we have an actual metric on that, unless you tell me.
So we handle it from an incremental approach. So at the time in which we complete intake with a resident, Nycc has 1 business day
Okay.
to respond and react to that. And we have a report that tracks their compliance with that, and they've always been in compliance with it.
Right. What?
From there, it goes on. So they have 7 days to ensure that we get a plan in place, a certain number of days to ensure that any inspections are in place, and then scheduling and so on.
Okay. And
There have also been certainly times where we have issued a directive or an order, especially early on, where we said, we want this apartment finished in 2 weeks. And they have come back and said, I mean, and again, it's collaborative. Say, we're going to do it. We don't think 2 weeks is, this is the reason.
Right.
And then, so then that moves. Sometimes they can do it faster. But other times, and then it's, okay, you need to move this person then. Can we find a way to move this resident and their family? And they're often very, very responsive. So I don't think they've ever not responded to our orders.
How many times have you ordered like an emergency transfer due to mold conditions, and what type of outreach is done so that these tenants are aware that the other person exists?
Well, usually if we're ordering it, the tenant knows because they're in communication with us.
Would you? Okay.
Look, it's no mystery that Nycc has had a trust issue with its tenants, and it is working super hard to rebuild that trust. And so when tenants trust us to provide the information that we are getting from Nycc, they know what's happening. In terms of, moving people is not unusual. My power is to recommend that someone be prioritized for move. I can't say move them. However, they often do move people. We work, and look, most of our cases are complex cases where there's a lot happening, a lot of things. Sometimes you have, as you heard from a panel, not only lead, so sometimes they need to come in, and asbestos as well.
Right.
There's remediation of asbestos that has to happen. We have to move someone out, and then there's going to be mold. And so, in terms of our numbers on helping moves, do we have a number? I don't.
We have some information in our report regarding relocation, some of which is not there.
Right.
The one thing to note that I think is one of our most important levers is that Nycc, sometimes we will seek feedback from the compliance department or the environmental health and safety department as to whether a resident needs to be moved or whether it's the resident's preference because of any health-related issues that they are faced with. And sometimes when either of those answers are yes, Nycc is able to relocate a resident very quickly, within 24 hours,
Okay.
in a hotel accommodation. Typically, a hotel accommodation will allow for up to 2 weeks. That isn't always ideal for some residents, and others it is, depending on the size of the family and whether they have pets. But we have found that is often a way in which we are able to have a resident relocated so that the necessary emergency-related work can be performed, and then they can be brought back into their apartment for the remaining repairs.
Does Nycc consistently provide residents with written statements, including your contact information? Are you?
They're required to.
Okay.
We're not on the ground when that happens.
Right.
I think early on that was an issue that we raised, that make sure everybody is getting our information. Our information is out there in many places. And prior to the most recent past, Nycc was doing our outreach. They were pushing out information regarding us. We are generally doing it ourselves now with Nycc's assistance, and again, they're going to do a rent mailer. So, it's out there.
Okay. Well, when it comes to RADPAC, which is also part of Nycc's, Nycc provides oversight over. Does the Ombudsman oversee PAC developments? And if so, do the PAC residents receive the same written notices about the OCC as Section 9 residents?
We are available to RAD Impact. That was handled with the district court, so we are available. It's a slightly different process, but largely the same as well. We are available to RAD Impact. Now, it's going to be development by development. It's going to be by private partner and by private partner how they communicate our existence, but Nycc requires them to communicate our existence.
What specific outreach has been conducted to the PAC residents that you know?
That I'm aware of? What do you got? Go ahead.
So they are required to send a mailer, I think, within the first 60 days of conversion, and then they're required to send a mailer once a year. In addition to that, Nycc has to inform the local TA, and there needs to be, I think, participation at a resident meeting.
Well, do you have any data or numbers showing how many Rad Pack tenants have contacted OCC?
We do, yes, yes. But in terms of the outreach that is done, that's a question for NYCC.
All right. You do have data showing that
Yeah, all in our reports.
and are there specific developments that are
Yes.
more chronic, problematic?
Same
you-
answer. We can pull it. It's not hard. We can look at our data in real time anytime.
Yeah, we would love to if you can provide the specific developments in Rad Pack
Sure.
where you're getting chronic calls.
Sure.
Do you find that the repairs being made at the pack developments are solving the mold condition, or is it a reoccurring condition?
Sorry, just making a note.
For the,
Go ahead.
for the most, I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Do you find that the repairs being made at the pack developments are being solved, or are they reoccurring conditions?
So you have to, it's hard to answer because when a development converts to PAC, there's a section of PAC developments that have had all their construction completed, meaning that all the capital repairs have been completed. And then there's others that more recently converted where that hasn't happened yet. So it depends on the development and the nature of the complaint. So do we still have some complaints where there's a recurring issue? Yes. Most of the time, those are locations in which they have not yet had their capital repairs completed, so they're awaiting for.
Well, after they're through the construction phase, have you received calls or complaints from residents about reoccurring mold issues?
Yes.
If this turns on, I should
yes,
also
it's fine.
mention that those private developers, it's a smaller universe, so you would expect that they will be much more responsive and faster because they're dealing with a much smaller universe of residents. But each development is different.
Well, and I guess we'll get a clear picture based on the amount of calls that are coming in and what particular developments.
Yeah, with time certainly, and and again, that's why we say people need to know about us, right? If we get calls and people know about us, and we can help residents, and we can have and we can have difficulties helping residents, complex cases. That's
Right.
all great because guess what we get? Data.
Right. Well, is it NYCC's responsibility to notify the developer of to make sure that holding the developer accountable to make sure that they are making the tenant aware or the tenants aware that the OCC exists?
Yes, I think that's a better question for NYCC, but yes, and it's part of the requirements as a developer. But again, if we can do outreach in ways that every tenant is going to receive information differently. We all do. Some people use social media. Some people do not use social media. Some people read newspapers. Some people don't. There has to be a multi-channel approach.
Well, what type of outreach have you done
Well,
directly to the Rad Pack developments?
To Rad Pack development, it's too new right now. So,
Right. Well, I mean, there's enough developments that have gone through the construction phase. What outreach have you done to those particular developments?
our outreach has been the required outreach.
Okay.
And we have found
And what's the required outreach?
mailers,
Mailers.
right? And that's what we found has actually been.
Are you speaking to the tenant associations
So
directly? Are you going to the TA meetings?
at Rad Pact, I don't have.
Yes, we have.
You've attended?
Yeah, we've attended that, and we've also done some targeted email, so specific developments where we've seen an uptick in cases. We've done some outbound email outreach, and also we've done some email outreach to developments where the IMA, the court-appointed independent mold expert, has been on site and has said that there's been a low rate of awareness of the OCC.
So and So we were provided, for example, we were provided with a list of all tenant association presidents now, whether they're all, I know some bounce back, so not all of them. And so we try to do a blast to
Okay.
say, and then individually in groups to try to say, hey, Will, can I come to talk to your groups? I didn't get a lot of responses, and then those that I did, I went to all the different, NYCC Tenant Association meetings that anybody wanted me to go to, I would go. A lot of people just either were non-responsive or maybe it was old contact information. So that's another thing that we intend to try to redo this year. We only did it a year ago, so.
Okay. Before I allow my colleagues, Councilman Botcha, to ask his questions, this is to the monitor. Do the UBS's person and the federal monitor work together to help NYCC address mold conditions? And if so, what does that collaboration and division of responsibility looks like, specifically when it comes to Rat Pack developments?
With Rad Pact, it doesn't really exist for us when it comes to mold, because once a development goes into Rad Pact, under the terms of the HUD agreement, our oversight ends. Generally speaking, almost everything that we've spoken about today, we try to do in collaboration
Right.
with them. So just as an example, and I keep coming back to this, but when we did our push for Restore and Renew, this is something that we involved them in, because again, they have such an expertise as boots on the ground with the residents, and data, and they're such an important and necessary partner for us. And so when we see issues in the mold space, it's a routine thing for us to consult with them. They're a gut check to make sure that we're right. They've been doing this longer than we have, and so it is formal and informal. If we have individual residents who reach out to us, we steer them towards the OCC, and so I just think it's sort of a constant, ongoing collaboration. And if we're going to be pushing for something in the mold and leak space, look, we're going to check in, right? Because it would be crazy for us not to, but also because they're, again, the level of expertise, their level of resident perspective is so invaluable to our work. Our work with residents is more intentional, but outside the daily course. We do site visits, we'll do town halls. We have one coming up in Sotomayor, but their level of resident interaction, really surpasses ours. And so it's a really valuable and important perspective for what we do. Invaluable, really.
Well, thank you. Now I will allow my colleague, Councilman Botcha, to ask his questions.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair. You had testified earlier about the historically a lack of a can-do attitude at NYCC. When we talk about the substandard conditions that NYCC tenants live in across the city, how much of that is due to the funding shortfalls that they've been experiencing, and how much of it is due to this lack of a can-do attitude that you said that NYCC has had historically?
So the can-do historically really predated our involvement in February of 24. It's something that I had heard of. Maybe we see it in pockets, certainly in areas, but from the senior management perspective, I don't think that's driving a lot of what the problems are in NYCC. A huge part of it is disinvestment and everything that flows from that, and particularly in the mold space, where you have, if the level of investment in public housing had stayed steady over the past few decades, NYCC likely would have been in a position to be replacing these plumbing lines and to be doing what was necessary to avoid these leaks. I'd think so. I think, but that's not all of it, right? The other part is legacy inefficiency, lack of communication, there are real issues here that can be solved, and thank goodness, right? Because otherwise, the current state would be the current state until there was a miraculous invention of capital. There are areas to improve with increased communication, increased training. You know, the key here is, and I use this it's a terrible phrase, but squeezing as much juice out of the lemon that we have, and particular on efficiency. And so this is everything from making sure that communication is better with residents so that when a worker goes out, they can get into the apartment and do the work. It's the training that's necessary so that when they're doing the work, they do it correctly and don't have to come back 2 or 3 times. There's the accountability. Not every NYCC worker is an ideal worker, either because they're not adequately trained and don't do the work, or because they're a bad apple and they're not particularly good at their jobs. And so a lot of the work, the efficiency work, what we call efficiency, is about bringing accountability. So there's better ways to measure who the workers are that are not pulling their weight, and then seeing, okay, is this a training issue where we can get this person trained and they can be more efficient, or is this someone who needs to move on to another job? These are all the types of things that can be done within the existing budgetary framework that can have significant and material improvement. But at the end of the day, if you don't fix the pipes, you're not going to be able to stop the leaks. And if you can't stop the leaks, you're not going to stop the mold. And it's just, it is just a really big challenge, and it has to happen. And so you've heard us use the word bridge a couple of times, because ultimately that's a lot of what we do, is that bridge towards the eventual capital replacements that just have to happen sooner or later. If these problems are ever going to be fully and adequately addressed. So it's a little bit of both. But I want to be clear: we do not encourage can't do on a daily basis at all. In fact, the exact opposite. And it's hard. I mean, it is really, I've spent most of my career in or around government, and I can't think of another agency that has to deal with something as difficult as the underfunding that NYCC has to deal with, and having to go to work every day knowing that there are solutions, but not being able to execute them because the money is not there, particularly when it comes to something as fundamental as hundreds of thousands of New York City residents having safe, sanitary, dignified way of life, and being able to constantly beat back that pessimism that has to come when you know you just don't have the funding to do what you do. I really do commend the NYCC people that we deal with on a daily basis. Are they perfect? No. Is there room for improvement? Absolutely. But fundamentally, it is in most instances working together towards a path of and sometimes really trying to achieve what seems unachievable.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Boccia. Right on time. This is to the monitor. You mentioned NYCC's remediation of standing water hasn't been measured. Can you say more about that?
One of the requirements in the HUD agreement is that any standing water must be removed within 48 hours. That has never been measured. And the reason why it hasn't been measured is there has to be sort of an IT solution, a collection of data. Okay. And so one of the first things we did when we came in was taking a look at the agreement and looking at where NYCC was on all the requirements. And we found there was a number of requirements that had never been addressed for whatever reason. And this was one of them. And so, and one of the real priorities for us as monitors is that we wanted to fix that. We wanted to make sure that every single thing in that agreement is being measured and reported on. Because frankly, the reality is, and again, this is not a criticism, it's just a reality. When things are not measured, when there's no publication about them in the reporting, right, there's less of a tendency to direct resources to solve the problem. And, and this is a number of different areas. This included the lack of measurement of metrics with respect to individual heating failures in apartments. So NYCC had been measuring what happens when a boiler goes out and 30 apartments go out,
Right.
but hadn't been measuring what happens in it when as we sort of heard earlier in our first panel, when a radiator breaks. And so that's something that we're now doing. Pest populations by development was something that was not being measured, that is now being measured. This is kind of the last one. And so what has to happen is, with the Leak SP, which we've been talking about a bunch, and with the IT rollout of that, now we're going to know exactly how long from when a complaint is made about standing water to when it's remedied, and we'll have that data, and then we'll be able to measure NYCC's performance. We know that they're meeting their metrics on addressing certain leaks, and so that's good news. And now we're going to see once this is launched, and again, it's a slow rollout. Right now, it's starting, I believe, in Staten Island and Queens, and it's going to take a while to get, because again, the problem with these standard protocols, I mean, it's not a problem, but one of the features of them is you can't just drop an IT solution and now tell every worker, you've got to do this, because without the adequate necessary training, it's going to create bad data and it's not going to work. And so this rollout, which had been delayed, but is now being executed, we'll be able to come here and tell you exactly how NYCC is doing, hopefully within a year's time.
Thank you. For the ombudsperson, would you support an expansion of the OCC model to other areas?
So, as I said in my remarks, I think it works. It works, but part of the reason it works is because it has been created and structurally designed for mold and leaks. Now, I think it could certainly work for many things.
Right.
You just have to put in the person power to learn about that issue. And for example, just in when we created the system and how calls are going to come in, this team was determining sort of swim lanes, what kinds of calls would we get. That has to happen for heat, for pests, for all those other kinds of things. I don't see why it wouldn't work. But one thing that one big reason that this works is accountability. And so NYCC has to take that accountability on their own. We have additional accountability in this process. That is a pretty strong federal consent decree, and people in place that ensure that accountability.
Right.
But I'll echo what my colleague said, which is at upper levels of management, and this is part of the can-do question issue, is we've never experienced that we can't do this. We've heard we don't have the money to do this,
Right.
but let's try to work on a solution. Now that attitude has to translate down to the individual developments and to the workers, and that's a challenge.
Okay. Well, obviously, one of the recommendations from the pre-panel was to have an expansion because they see the necessity, they see the need.
I mean, if the question was, could we expand?
Right.
It would be pretty easy to do it. Yes, we could easily expand if it was, hey, you're now going to handle heat, for example. Yeah, we would have to do some work to sort of learn.
And heating has been a problematic area in NYCC. Even this morning when I was driving in, I was dealing with heating issues and some rad pack developments, particularly. How many virtual inspections has the OCC conducted, and that has been has that been a useful tool?
I'll let Ms. Acevedo answer that one, but what I do want to say before she does is that when we were asked to sort of pitch whether we would be interested in becoming the ombudsperson, and we as a team made our presentation, part of our presentation was, look, we have to do things more efficiently. We don't need a team of 100 people to go around to all the units when there's generally no disagreement as to what is happening in a particular unit.
Right.
We're a technological society. So residents will just say, can I go on FaceTime with you right now? Can I show you? Can I send you a video? And so that's all we would need. Right. And then get people in that apartment. So in terms of our numbers on that, go ahead.
And before, are there ways for residents to upload Okay.
They just send them to us.
They just send them to you. Okay.
So we developed the process of doing virtual inspections during COVID, because during COVID it was critically important for us to understand what were the conditions in a resident's apartment so that we could field urgent issues, because we all know that's what caused this large backlog that in part that NYCC is faced with. And so we've done over 500 at this point. I don't have the specific number in front of me, but we found them to be tremendously successful and helpful. We use them for a variety of different reasons, some of which the residents don't always communicate the whole picture to us. One example of that is a resident will tell us that they have a recurring issue in their bathroom. But what they won't say is that that issue is affecting a wall, and on the adjacent side of the wall, maybe the hallway or the kitchen from the bathroom is also impacted. And so sometimes the specific work order tasks, the repair tasks, won't always be created to account for those additional rooms that are impacted. So that's a way that we're able to ensure that the resident's apartment is restored. And another way is for prioritization or possible relocations. If we're able to do a virtual inspection and we run through that resident's entire apartment, in minutes, we're able to send a link, and that can go to the maintenance worker or the superintendent, and it many times has gone, to the executives in Omar or Dan Green.
Okay. Uh, if we were able to successfully increase awareness and more residents made use of OCC, would it have the resources to help the influx of residents?
Absolutely.
Okay. And I will also, before I ask my last question, this will be to the monitor. I want to recognize my colleague, Councilmember Sanchez, and I'll also allow her to ask a question as well.
Thank you, Chair Banks, and good morning. I apologize for myself, and I know that a lot of council members come in and out, but I look forward to catching up on the back and forth I did miss. My first question is just a clarifying question. So are you saying that there is a mechanism that residents can employ to reach you directly when they have persistent complaints or concerns in their apartments?
Yeah, they call, email. It's on our website. They call directly to us.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. I probably should have known that. Did not know that. Well, I represent the Northwest Bronx, but selfishly, I also have a lot of family that lives in Nycc. And so my question today is relating to a lot of the constituent complaints that I hear, but also from family members who live in public housing. I hear a lot from them about this issue of scheduling appointments, getting in their units inspected and then having, professionals or trades people come in and do the actual work. They don't schedule. They said that they're going to show up this day and they're going to that's how they interpret it. They're going to break my locks whether I'm there or not. This isn't fair. I was working. I was at childcare. There's all the many reasons. And so my question for you with respect to mold, but also with respect to lead remediation and the other issues that you have oversight on, how satisfactory do you find NYCC's process for responding to work requests from tenants and sending these trades? Do you see their process for engaging with residents and scheduling that work as sufficient to meet the requirements of the monitorship on the one hand, and second, as respectful to the tenants in terms of how they work that out?
So this is an enormously significant issue, and we have, a part of our team and our organizational change team, a work stream that is exclusively dedicated to resident communication around these issues, because for so many reasons. There's the obvious reason of just how frustrating and debilitating it is when when you finally get to your appointment day and somebody doesn't show. But there's also extraordinary efficiency harm on both sides, right? If a NYCC worker doesn't show, that's again incredibly disruptive for a resident who's taken a day off from work, given up a day of pay to sit in an apartment and not have their problem fixed. But it's also a huge problem for NYCC when they show up to an apartment and the resident isn't home because the communication had broken down to a point where the resident doesn't know to be home, right? Didn't get a reminder, didn't get notice. It's such an obvious area of loss of resources. So this has been a real focus of our work, and we are seeing improvement. Since we've worked with NYCC to have a scorecard and measure the percentage of time that NYCC misses an appointment, again, on their end, since we've launched this effort with NYCC, and Mr. Green can give you sort of details about it, it's decreased somewhat significantly the occurrence of NYCC missing appointments. And so bringing attention and data and training and ideas does help. So it was not okay. It's getting better. There's still more work to be done. On the notification aspect, again, not okay, a lot of more work to be done, but we're trying different things. And a lot of this is workshopping different ideas, putting them out in practice, see what works, see where we can get things improved. So among the types of reforms that have happened recently since we've taken over this monitorship, things like when there's a communication, more detail. So before, a resident might receive a robocall that says, you have an appointment scheduled for Monday at 2 p.m. Now, hopefully, they'll be getting a robocall, they'll be getting a mailer, they'll be getting an email. It'll give the time. It'll say, this is the type of thing that's going to be addressed. We're going to be repainting your mold situation. We're going to be doing a lead inspection, whatever it is, with the work order number. And so now the resident, A, has a better idea of what's coming. B, it gives them an opportunity and information we provided in the communication. If you can't make it, here's what you do. I got buzzed. Here's how you respond. Here is now, and even there, before if it was a skilled trade, the resident would get maybe 2 different numbers to call or different areas. Now it's a single point of contact for them to call. And when they call that number, we talked about this a little bit before, if you're on hold and it's a 45-minute wait, which was before where residents would just give up, now at least there's a callback option. And I will say also the amount of time that you're on hold has shrunk significantly. So this is an area of concern. We're all well aware of it. We're all working towards fixing it. We're not there yet. But this is also an area where we don't have a monopoly on good ideas. And there's been a lot of experimentation in trying to get there. But it is an area of an enormous focus for our team, and I know for NYCC as well.
Oh, I just want to say,
if I can add to that,
oh, sure.
Because we take with
share
same
for a while.
perspective, but
No,
is that okay?
that's okay. Go ahead.
We're getting the calls, so we're the ombudsperson call center. So the reason people are calling us is are those reasons. So we're getting the calls already where they missed an appointment, or we've been waiting 2 weeks or a month or whatever that is, and so our job is to communicate with NYCC and to make sure and ensure that doesn't happen again. So we don't really have that as much of a problem when people call us. So I think if people have an issue with how we're handling cases, it's usually because they're unhappy with the work that was done, or sometimes the scheduling is way out, and that's a big problem. And we're trying to assist them by getting NYCC to do the work a little bit earlier. So, an example of sort of collaboration and communication. So since we were appointed in 2019, so it's been a number of years, and we've been pushing communication. You can't be missing appointments. People stay home from work. They're losing money, literally losing money that they're going to use to pay rent. So we're pushing that. And so the reason this has to be collaborative, we're sitting at the Jefferson houses, and we're talking about rolling out our OCC, and that's where we were going to start. It's going to be a sort of rollout incrementally. And we were talking about all these issues of communicating with the resident. You can't just show up and say, hey, I have to be in here. Oh, hey, nobody called you yesterday? Like these kinds of issues. That birthed what we call, it's had different names, these resident communication associates, which we deal with a lot, or ambassadors. So this was a new position that NYCC created so that their only job is to communicate with the residents regarding, they can talk to you more about it regarding repairs and other things. And for us, it was all about getting that we are helping you get out there and we have someone else to communicate. So what that then means is an RCA is going to call you. We're going to call you to remind you that they're coming, and NYCC knows we're doing that as well, and we're making sure that something's going to happen. We've also talked to over 30,000 residents. We've had 100,000 calls. So all these kind of recommendations come because of experience. So we're having the experience, and it helps inform our strategies, and it helps NYCC inform their strategies and how they communicate better, because they have embraced, at least with us, that is a problem, and they're trying to fix it.
Are there also texts sent out?
There are texts. I mean, it depends. How does the resident want? From our perspective, it's how do we communicate with the resident? What do they want? So I like people sending me texts. I don't want people leaving me voicemails, for example. I would tell that to the OCC, and people would not leave me a voicemail.
Got it. Well, Chair, I just want to say thank you for holding this important hearing. It's so important for us to be able to have these connections, and thank you for showing up. Chair, I think for me, I'm his counterpart. I chair the Committee on Housing and Buildings, and I think this issue also comes up with HPD inspections. And so if there's conversations that are not yet happening, happy to make that connection so that the scheduling challenge can be compared by the agencies. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Sanchez. The final question for me, and this is to the monitor: how do you work with NYCC to secure additional funding, for example, for like the pilot programs?
We basically sit down and say, what can we do here? And if like an additional source of funding might come in from a different perspective, from the city, from the federal government, and we'll sit there and we'll discuss with, ultimately, it's their decision. We don't control their budget, but what we'll do is we'll say, hey, maybe we can reallocate some of these resources over here as opposed to over there. NYCC does, it can find resources. A lot of the times they apply, NYCC's applying for a lot of grants and a lot of funding. And so, we try to suggest, push, prod, beg, plead for certain areas. Right. Here are some resources that are coming in that maybe weren't expected. Can we please think about funding a program to deal with this issue? Okay. So again, it's a very collaborative process.
Well, thank you for your testimony, guys, today. And my final comment overall of the testimony, I would be glad to see an expansion definitely be taken into consideration seriously, knowing some of the problematic issues that continue to occur in NYCC, especially around heating. So I'm looking forward to further conversations and dialogue on possibly having that happen. Thank you. Thank you for your testimony today, guys. Now we will hear testimony from NYCC, and I will turn it over to our committee council to give the affirmation. And I guess we have here today Daniel Green, we have Jacqueline Sullivan, and Elena Chexnikova. Do apologize. Thank you. Elena. Council.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. You're prepared. If you could raise your right hand, please. We can do it all at the same time. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth before this committee and to respond honestly to council member questions?
I do.
Great, thank you. You can begin when you're ready. And just before you start, if you could state your name and title for the record, that would be great. Thanks.
Is it on? Is it on? Yeah. Good afternoon, Chair Banks. My name is Daniel Green. I am the Executive Vice President of Property Management Operations. I'm here today with Jacqueline Sullivan, Senior Vice President for Healthy Homes, and Elena Tenchikova, Vice President of the Office of Mold and Remediation, or OMAR. Thank you for this opportunity to discuss the authority's efforts to prevent and remediate mold across our portfolio. We recognize that mold is an issue of very great concern to our residents, and it's top priority for the authority. It's top priority for me. The majority of Nycc's buildings are more than half a century old, and they have been underfunded by the federal government for decades. The authority's approximately 149,000 apartments collectively suffer from an $80 billion in major capital needs. And the reality is that the lack of investment has led to many of the chronic leak and moisture issues, which are the root causes of mold. Recognizing the capital needs deficit, in 2019, we rolled out a state-of-the-art program to address mold in partnership with the court-appointed independent entities and the Federal Monitor. This has enabled us to establish strong procedures and operational responses to mold. We prioritize a rapid response to mold and do our best to complete mold-related repairs efficiently to benefit our residents and to improve their quality of life. In fact, there has been an entire systematic shift within our organization to ensure that mold is prioritized and addressed. And our partners both within and beyond the organization, the Ombudsperson Call Center, Nycc's Compliance Department, and the Federal Monitor, are helping us make sure that the resident experience matches the larger organizational transformation that is taking place. Our success in tackling mold is measured by fewer occurrences, fewer reoccurrences, and reduced response times. Nycc is seeing about a 20% less new mold complaints since 2022, and the recurrence rate has dropped from 30% to 10% from 2019 to today. And we're now responding on average within 2 days to mold complaints. These are very encouraging signs of progress and evidence that we're on the right path, although we acknowledge that there is still so much work to do, and this will continue to be challenging without significant capital investment. Leading the work to address mold is our Office of Mold Assessment and Remediation, or I'll refer to them as OMAR, which spearheads comprehensive infrastructure and repair projects and updates operational procedures. OMAR works closely with our external partners who are helping us make progress in this vital area, including the Federal Monitor, the Mold and Data Analysts, who are independent, and the Mold Ombudsperson. I would like to walk you through a few of the specific initiatives that are making a difference for the residents we serve. And this is one we didn't hear much about today, but it's so very important, which is cleaning vents in our roof fan replacement or ventilation. So enhancing and modernizing mechanical ventilation systems at our development and thus reducing moisture in buildings is a critical way that we are reducing the occurrence of mold. To that end, we are replacing 6,188 old roof fans across the authority, installing new state-of-the-art versions in their place. At the same time, we clean bathroom and kitchen vents in more than 74,000 apartments, and we are replacing fire dampers, which are the vents that cover where the air is flowing, as part of our Clean Vents initiative. As a result of these efforts, we have decreased mold associated with poor ventilation by 54%, in bathroom mold by 32%. Our Mold Busters initiative ensures that our staff are properly inspecting and remediating mold in apartments. It involves enhanced tools and strategies, as well as staff training and greater accountability via photo documentation of follow-up quality assurance inspections. As part of the holistic Mold Busters regime, staff work through a set of tasks to address mold, from cleaning vents and repairing windows to remediating leaks and applying mold-resistant paint. So now I'm going to walk through some other operational initiatives and improvements. We are taking a data-driven approach to mold. Our Operation Mold Cleanup program delivers additional resources to address backlogged mold work orders and has enabled us to resolve nearly 35,000 work orders. Through Operation Dryout, we have resolved nearly 9,000 backlogged plumbing work orders and nearly 6,000 backlogged tub enclosure work orders, or tub surrounds. With the Enhanced Oversight Program, we have improved mold performance at 29 high-risk sites, and we are currently working to do the same at an additional 3 sites. We also created a specialized blitz remediation team, and then through our work order verification project, a very important project with OCC, we have closed over 2,500 work orders that are no longer needed because the issues were already addressed, but the work order was not properly closed. By cleaning up the data, we are freeing up resources for faster response times where they're needed. We have also determined that approximately 30% of older tickets are similarly no longer needed, and we are working with the OCC to close them out. Our Mold and Leak Scorecard is a key tool for fighting mold. It's a visual and assessment tool that we developed with the OCC that rates the performance of every NYCC development on a refresh basis and helps us direct our resources effectively. Additionally, we have improved the way we work by updating standard procedures related to how we inspect roof fans and how we address mold leaks and moistures. I'm going to talk about capital investments. We are already executing an extensive capital portfolio that leverages funding from the city, state, and federal government, but we are always seeking opportunities to expand this work. For instance, with our building line initiative, we are replacing entire plumbing systems in select building lines that are failing and leading to pervasive leaks. The program is will not only reduce mold, but will also upgrade residents' kitchens and bathrooms. And our comprehensive modernization, PACT, and trust housing preservation programs include new plumbing systems in their scopes of work. We're also addressing roofs and facades at some locations through these and other capital funding sources. These major investments, which benefit from city funding, will have a long-term impact on our mold efforts and residents' quality of life. It must be stated that replacing our plumbing systems and addressing leaks in the roofs and facades of our thousands of aging buildings across the NYCC portfolio requires tens of billions of dollars of investment that NYCC does not have. Combating mold at PAC developments is the next topic, and NYCC requires the partners who are renovating and managing our PAC developments to remediate mold and excessive moisture complaints within 30 days, abate flooding within 24 hours, and remove standing water within 48 hours, unless a longer repair schedule is warranted. Additionally, residents at PAC developments can get assistance with mold and leak issues from the Ombudsperson Call Center. NYCC's real estate development team, in coordination with NYCC's compliance department, coordinates the review of leak and mold work orders through an independent data analyst and an independent mold analyst. Over the last quarter, mold work orders occurred in less than 1% of the PAC portfolio, and our PAC partners have resolved work orders in an average of 6 days. Now I'll speak to NYCC's larger transformation efforts. As part of NYCC's transformation efforts, the authority is improving ways we work to become a better landlord for residents. For example, we are scheduling and completing repairs, including mold-related work, more efficiently through our work order reform initiative. We expanded the types of automatic notifications and reminders residents receive about upcoming skilled trade repairs, and we made it easier for residents to reschedule them. And this has meant fewer missed appointments for mold-related work and thus faster completion of the work. Along with that, we are fostering enhanced communication. We also partner with residents in other ways to combat mold, and that includes providing educational materials on how to prevent and report mold. Residents have several channels for reporting mold, including NYCC's Customer Contact Center and the My NYCC app and website. Additionally, the independent court-appointed Ombudsperson Call Center can assist residents with problematic mold and leak repairs. To date, OCC has served nearly 32,000 residents. The results of our partnership and our multi-pronged approach to address mold are tangible. For residents, here are some additional statistics which illustrate the progress we're making. Our work order scheduling rate has increased from an 8% rate up to 21%. OCC cases resolved within 30 days have increased from just 16% to now 46%. The median amount of time it takes to inspect mold has gone from 24 days down to 2 days, a 92% reduction. And importantly, resident satisfaction concerning mold work has risen from 71% to 83%. Additionally, we have reduced the number of open mold-related work orders by thousands and are decreasing the time it takes to complete mold-related work and address leaks. Ensuring safe and healthy homes for residents is our top priority at NYCC. While we are making progress to prevent and remediate mold, we know there is still more work to do. And more investment in Nycce's aging buildings is required so that residents can live in the high-quality, modern housing they deserve. Specifically, our building line initiative to fix our aging, failing pipes will go a long way in efforts to combat mold. Our partnerships with Nycc stakeholders, including the City Council, the BIAs, court-appointed entities, the Ombudsperson, the Independent Data Analyst, and the Independent Mold Analyst, the BIAS Special Master, the Federal Monitor, and Nycc's internal oversight entities, are highly productive as we carry out the important work to improve residents' quality of life. Thank you for your continued support and attention on this important matter. I think we have some brief PowerPoint slides which I'll go through very briefly because they reiterate the points. So we can pull up the first slide. We see it. I'm not. Oh, you have a copy. Oh, I thought it was going to be on the screen. Okay. So.
Was it supposed to be on the screen? Well, if not, we.
Okay, I can just
I wanted the
walk you
public
through
to.
it. So the first slide just shows the results on our ventilation program. You see a photograph of a Nycc roof and installing the direct drive fans. So again, 6,188 roof fans have been replaced, 74,000 vents are cleaned, and 32,000 dampers have been replaced, and that's still ongoing. The goal is 95,000, or that's not the goal, that's what our obligation is. That's really going to improve ventilation, and ventilation reduces mold. That was one of the major findings of the independent mold analysts in the early days of BIAS. So you see the next slide here shows slide 3. After completing a roof fan installation, you can see the conditions, and I've seen worse than that, of those vents. They get clogged, the air cannot flow out of the bathroom, the moisture remains in the bathroom, and that causes a mold condition. So what we do is we clean the vents, and now we're replacing the vents with better, more modern technology, so there's better flow of air through those vents into those bathrooms. Note, because those bathrooms don't have windows, so those bathrooms really need those vents to air out. The next is Operation Mold Cleanup. You just see some staff. So Operation Mold Cleanup, we really want to make sure that mold is remediated quickly. That's my number one focus right now, is getting to that 5 days. Operation Mold Cleanup addresses the backlog of mold removal and mold-resistant paint work orders. So for mold removal, we've addressed 98% of them. We've closed 17,805 out of 18,116. We track this every single day, and we're pushing hard to get it down as low as we can. 94%, of mold-resistant paint work orders have also been closed, and that's critical for addressing recurrence. That actually acts as a sealant and helps prevent mold from regrowing. Operation Dryout is an initiative that addresses backlog plumbing and tub enclosure work orders that are more than 200 days old. 89% of these older work orders have been addressed for the plumbing work orders, and another 79% of the tub enclosure work orders. We heard one of the residents earlier who told the story about a tub enclosure. I don't want residents going to take a shower in areas protected by plastic. We should get those tub enclosures done as quickly as possible. The next slide, slide 6, is our Enhanced Oversight Program. We created this program to work with developments that are struggling with the mold requirements. We bring a specialized team, including OCC and IMA, the Independent Mold Analyst, to the properties to improve their performance. We work with them over an intense 30 to 60-day period, and that enables us to get them caught up on their inspections, assist them with mold cleaning, retrain their staff, and do some outreach to residents as well. And that program is ongoing. The next is the Building Line Initiative. Building Line Initiative is a pilot, but it's growing. This is slide 7. We have completed one. We're almost complete with our second largest one at Tompkins, and then we're going to be doing more and more in 2026, Red Hook East, another in Red Hook East, Carlton Manor, and then new BLI projects to be determined in early 2026. Slide 8, we're almost done here, is our Building Line Initiative. Which is we just talked about it, but this was just going to show some of the metrics on that for the one that we completed. And then finally, maintenance care. So maintenance cares, I think I saved it at the end there. So now Nycc has to we have to inspect our apartments, 100% of our apartments every single year. So we have to get into every single Nycc apartment every single year now. And what we are noticing is we don't want escalations only coming from outside entities. We want our maintenance workers to be escalating these things before before they even reach places like the OCC, so that we are taking this upon ourselves. So these are some of our worst apartments. These are also some of the most voiceless residents, those who are struggling to connect with NYCC. We escalate them internally through our maintenance workers, and we then aggressively address them as a priority with our planners. So we've since we started this in March, we've had 597 cases that are in progress, and we've already resolved 387 cases. And these are internal NYCC escalations. This is the kind of cultural change that NYCC needs to bring that can-do attitude out to the developments, so that everybody is escalating and working together to address those repairs that are most in need. And now, happy to have any questions.
Before I start my round of questions, I'm going to allow my council member, my good council member, my good friend, Council Member Sanchez, to ask her questions.
Thank you so much, Chair Banks. I actually just wanted to follow up on the question Hi, Dan. Good to see you.
Good to see you again. Yeah.
I'm not sure if you were in the room a few minutes ago when I asked the federal monitorship and the I cannot say that word, the O word that is very long, about the ways that you coordinate with residents to contact. So my specific question was whether you send text message notifications, or whether you communicate with residents via text message as well as email and phone.
So text messaging is something that we're doing for our PEST program right now. We're looking at it for rolling it out for other aspects of operations, particularly skilled trades. The past year, we focused a lot on our phone systems and upgrading our phone systems for our planners, so that we can better monitor them and they can have call queues and other sort of advancements. We think that text is the next iteration, but we wanted to first upgrade the phone systems to see what impact that has in terms of our skilled trade repairs, and then from there, hopefully we can move to text more broadly. We have a large, we get across the board for our maintenance workers, we get 100,000 maintenance work orders a month. We get 35,000 skilled trade work orders a month, so the volume is enormous. However, we do think that that's a good way to communicate. We also have improved email communication, which a lot of our residents use email, and they maintain the same email, and that's been very effective for communicating with residents.
Thank you. And specifically, how do you confirm appointments with residents?
So confirmation is typically done via phone with residents through our planners. We have a pretty good rapport right now. The monitor mentioned a new dashboard that we build out. So missed appointments has been a major focus for us in the past year. So we confirm appointments with residents via phone. In the month of September, we missed less than 600 appointments for the first time for our skilled trades, and those are our eight much in need skilled trade: plumbers, plasterers, painters, and some trades miss 0 appointments in their neighborhood. So we feel like as our planners mature in their roles, as we improve the phone systems, we are having better luck with confirming it. We've also been working with Metro IAF on 2 pilots around maintenance worker scheduling. There's definitely some work to do on that. Maintenance workers are at properties, and so they typically have a more grassroots rapport with residents. They're there, they can knock on doors, they can call the resident, they can work with a housing assistant to call a resident, but we do want to improve that communication so we're not missing it, especially when there's an AM PM time, and we notice some discrepancies that we want to correct in our system thanks to the pilot. But we're really trying to work on missed appointments in confirmation of appointments, so that we're not wasting residents' time, which I totally agree is not good.
And so you've mentioned planners, but it's the resident communication associates, these RCAs, who are the specific folks that are communicating with residents to confirm appointments and.
Sure, I could speak to that. Good afternoon, Council Member. Thank you for asking that question. So there's kind of like larger communication that happens that NYCC does in response to mold and leak coordination, and then there's kind of like a very different model that is used when it comes down to our mold response unit team, just because it's a case management system. So our mold response unit deals with escalated issues, and once they establish contact with the resident, they figure out what is the best means of contacting them. who is the best person to contact, and then we'll work with them through those means. So we'll use email, phone, we'll use text messaging, so variety of platforms, and it's a lot more of a more frequent touch with our communication until we resolve the issue.
Okay. I'll share with you, I am very annoyed by my baby's dentist because they call and text and text and call. But, it's very effective and it gets us, to the appointments. But very specifically that they, say if you are confirming your appointment, please reply C. That simple kind of change on some of your communications, I just ask for you to consider that. Won't fix all of the issues, but as you continue to improve your communications with residents, that could go a
Yeah,
long
our
way.
strategy innovation team kind of has been looking at this holistically on how to improve communication. So, as part of like the transformation and establishing the neighborhood model, creating the neighborhood planners, making sure that we're set up with automated mailers that go out for reminders and robocalls.
Thank you.
there.
Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna begin with work orders and remediation. According to the HUD agreement, NYCC must remediate mold within 5 business days or fix mold and root causes within 7 days for simple repairs or 15 days for complex repairs. Is that correct?
Correct.
Well, what percentage of mold complaints does NYCC currently remediate within these required timeframes? And does NYCC have any documented plan with a specific date on when they think they can achieve a 95% compliance?
Sure, I'll respond to that. I'll start with the 7-day, which is to respond to simple repairs. These are repairs that are usually are able to be completed within one visit. And we are now at 54%. Based on last monitor's report, most recent, we're through our dashboard receiving it as high as 73. So hopefully next quarterly report will show continued progress. And just to give a baseline, we're starting at 22 in comparison. I do want to kind of frame this from this is a hit or miss metric. So one of the ways that I would encourage to look at it is not only progress on how often are we hitting this metric, but how are we doing overall over time? Right. So average days to complete. And when we're comparing this back to 2020, we were at 170 days, and now we're at 16. So a lot of progress has happened over time to really prioritize this, and this goes to using data, this is using visibility, and really concentrating and prioritizing mold within NYCC. The next one that I'll talk about is the 5-day removal. This has improved, as the federal monitor noted, from 7 to now 24. And in comparison of like average days that we're seeing progress, we were at like 130 in 2020, and now we're averaging around 25 days. Okay. For 15-day complex, which is by far our most difficult metric to hit because we need to go through the inspection, full repair and restoration, and pass the QA. We're at now 11% going from 2. Average days to go through this workflow is 388, was 388 and now down to 252. So progress is being made, but certainly we have a long way to go, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
Let me ask this question again. Does NYCC have a documented plan with a specific date on when they think they can achieve 95%?
We do not have a specific date where we're going to be able to achieve it.
You said yes or no?
No.
How can residents have confidence that compliance will ever be achieved then?
I will defer this to our EVP of Property Management, Dan Green.
So we're pushing as hard as we can with the resources that we have, but as noted in the monitor's testimony and in the ombudsperson testimony, and as stated by our former chair, we're not going to repair our way out of this problem. We need capital investment in our buildings in order to hit those types of numbers in more of our buildings. We will push, and we will improve those numbers even further. We're going to push the inspections so that they're done within as quickly as we can, and then we're going to get the mold cleaning and mold remediation done as quickly as we can. More complex plumbing repairs, though,
Right.
they take time. And the stacks that we're dealing with at places like Queensbridge are nearing 100 years old. So and that's just one example. You can find at Baruch. You mentioned some of our worst impacted sites: Baruch, Jefferson, Red Hook, all of Queensbridge. All of those need full pipe replacements, which we
Right.
don't have the money for. So hitting that top level is really dependent upon more capital repairs. We will do through our building line initiative more and more high-risk lines, which will probably lead to some improvement, but that across-the-board improvement, especially on the leak side, is really going to be dependent upon capital investment in NYCC.
Okay. Well, what percentage of mold complaints does NYCC currently remediate within these required timeframes?
Yeah, sure. So 7 days, 54%, 15 days, 11%, and 5 days is 24%.
And how many open mold orders does NYCC currently have?
Sure. We have 23,453 work orders that are open. 379 of those are related to inspections. That would be either the initial inspection, the QA inspection, or re-inspection. And 23,164 is related to child repair, so actual repair work.
Okay.
And I'm happy to break down those if you'd like.
And
Just
how
what I
many
want-
how many have been pending more than 15 days?
Sure. 22,255, more than 15 days.
And how many have been pending more than 30 days?
20,680.
And how many have been pending more than 90 days?
17,058.
Said 17,000.
58.
So, what percentage of the units have a second mold complaint been within the last 12 months?
I'm happy that you asked that question. That is one of the metrics that we're actually doing well in. The HUD agreement requires to not have more than 15%, or we should be at 85%, and we're now at 88%, so which demonstrates a positive state of reoccurrence.
Okay, and then how many of these units have experienced mold more than 3 times this year?
We've improved on this metric, going from 60 apartments to now 39 units. And we do monitor those. Our mold response unit and our data analyst team reviews it, and then we investigate and will case manage those periodically.
And what's the primary cause of the reoccurring mold?
I would actually say that this is a really good metric for gatekeeping some of those that fall through the cracks. And from like our investigations, I'm seeing that certainly there is an aging component, but also was it properly addressed in the initial inspection? And we're able, through this tool, actually be able to catch those, which we're happy about.
Okay. Well, you spoke earlier about NYCC's roof fan replacement program.
Yes.
But we also heard earlier from a tenant who's experiencing reoccurring mold in her bathroom because of the roof fan on her line. Isn't it working? And NYCC hasn't fixed it as yet. What is the average time frame for replacing broken roof frames? Fans, sorry, and are units with active mold cases prioritized?
Sure. I'm happy to talk about that. So a little bit, if I could take a step back to talk a little bit about the ventilation program, so it makes
Yes.
kind of pieces it all together. Our ventilation program consists of 3 phases. The first initial phase was replacing the roof fans. So we did a major push to send out engineers, do asbestos testing, and if it needed to be upgraded to be a direct modern fan, we've updated that, and that resulted in 1,056 buildings across our portfolio. The second part was to like kind of going hand in hand to offer as much relief as we can. And also, I'd like to add, we were doing this all during COVID. We actually perform vent cleaning. So where we HEPA vacuum the interior of the lateral duct, and that's where we saw the pictures of like really being able to declutter the dust debris that has accumulated there. And now we're currently in the damper component. As part of the damper program, this is a longer term rollout, is about 3 years. And we're cleaning the vents during that time, and we are checking the roof fans again to see if they're working or not, and working with the property to update it. Separate and apart, part of our mold inspection will check for CFM measurements to make sure that the vent is operating. If it's not, then it'll create a child work order to check the roof fan and to clean the vent. In this case, we, as this was being brought up, we checked on our site, and there were 2 open tickets for the roof fan being out of order. How does that happen after major improvements? Because every so often it needs to be maintained. There could be an electrical problem. These roof fans, although we shouldn't be seeing it yet, some of the ones that we may have retained, meaning we verified it, that they weren't just put in 2 years ago, may be starting to act up with their motor being out of not working, and that would happen because we're running our motors 24/7, which means the use of life will be a little bit faster. But with this, there is a proactive measure of whenever we're responding to proactively check if the vent is operating, and we do prioritize the replacement of those.
And so then how many of Nycc's public housing apartments are currently with an active mold complaint?
23,000. I'm sorry, pardon, my apologies. How many units, right? 11,723 units, or
Can you repeat that number?
8.9% of Nycc's overall universe.
Okay, and how many children under 18 live in units with verified mold complaints?
Yes, this one second.
It's about 7,400.
74. And how many open leak work orders does Nycc currently have?
43,387, of which 8,372, or 19%, are parent, and 35,015 that are child, or 81%.
Okay. And what is the average time to abate a leak after it's been reported?
So we have requirements that to abate a leak within 24 hours. And as the federal monitor noted, there's been challenges with the way that we do our reporting. However, through our best efforts of trying to use a proxy measure, we've seen—
What's the challenge?
It's the way that we record the work orders. We don't actually ask the question of, did you abate the flood condition, which now we'll be able to do as part of the leak standard procedure. So what we currently use is a proxy measure, meaning that if we're responding to it, that we are addressing it. And right now we've seen an improvement from 54 hours to 33 hours.
Okay. And what percentage of leaks are abated within 24 hours as required?
So keep in mind that challenge that I talked about, but the way that we use in the proxy measure, we're now at 72% in comparison to 69 last year.
Okay. And what percentage of standing water is removed within 48 hours?
76%.
Okay. Does the mold and leak work order backlog also consist of the child work orders that need to be completed before the mold work order can be fully closed out?
Correct. Those are the repairs, yeah.
And if so, do you have any breakdown of how much of the work order backlogs consist of those smaller associated with work orders?
Yeah, absolutely. So the child work orders, or the ones that need repair associated with the mold, consists of 23,164. The way that I like to move of it is evaluating into buckets of mold removal, which is one of our top priority is to remove the hazard. That currently consists of about 34%, or 4,654. We have 3,480, or 15%, in encapsulation. This is what should happen as a part 2 to remediation to help to prevent it. And then we have the remainder, which would be the root cause and the restoration. And that consists of 15,030 work orders, or 65%. And to give a little bit of context, within that universe of that 15,000, about 50% of them are for cosmetic paint. Part of our challenge during COVID, and kind of the way that our work orders work, we cannot close the work order until we're able to complete the work. So we cannot close it as tenant at home or refused, which means that our work orders stay open. During COVID, we suspended our cosmetic paint. So we continue to respond to making sure to remove mold and encapsulate mold, but all cosmetic paint got suspended during that time, which then caused a backlog to grow that now is taking us years to handle.
Just for clarity, I just want to know what is responsible for the delays in closing mold and leak work orders.
So I could speak. I mean, there's a lot of it's on Nycc's end. You know, a lot of it is come down to staffing and the amount of work orders that we have to handle. Some of the older work orders, it becomes about getting access. So what we did last year is we started a new program with OCC, because they see the same data that we do. We share all of our data openly. It's incredibly transparent. What we want to do is reach out to those residents through OCC to determine if work is still needed for some of those older tickets. And approximately 32% of them, they've reached out to a population of about 8,000 so far. They've made positive connections with, and about 32% of that 8,000 are stating they no longer need the work. So either Nycc might have done it and didn't document it, or maybe it was painting and they might have done it themselves, or they just don't. Some residents just don't want painting. So that would indicate, if you extrapolate that out, you know, there is probably a high percentage. I can't say it's 32%. I don't know if that's statistically accurate, but a high percentage of those older tickets that are probably no longer needed. However, mold work orders, out of all the work orders at Nycc, have the strictest closure rules of any work order. You cannot close out a mold work order unless you physically get access to the apartment. The verification project has been a way to work with the Baez plaintiffs on a way that might be a slight change to that, to be common sense. I've been at the door of many apartments where, if you look at our work order logs, 19 attempts, 20 attempts, and the residents get frustrated. They're like, why are you coming back again? These are the stories that you hear about Nycc going into apartments and taking pictures, and why are they here? This is really annoying. It's a friction. It's annoying for the residents for us to be in their apartment when we don't need to. So what we need to do is find a way to improve that, to make sure that we're meeting the intention of making sure that the work is getting done, but also not keeping things open indefinitely, which causes a lot of confusion. We direct our resources in less efficient ways, because we have to send a staff person up there to verify it, and that person could be in another apartment doing repairs. So that's just something that I think that we want to continue to work on with OCC, and as part of the Restore and Renew initiative, verification will be a big part of that as well, because there we're trying to tackle the entire backlog at particular developments. So at Sotomayor, when we leave, they should have 0 mold and leak work orders left over. And part of that is making sure that we verify with the resident if they still want and need the work. And if they don't want it, then we want to redirect those resources to the residents who so badly need the work, those with temp sinks, missing walls, all those terrible things that we see every single day in our apartments. So we're really trying to work with OCC to use data to prioritize, in communication, to prioritize our resources.
How many of these units are currently offline due to mold?
That's an interesting question. So I don't, let me just pull up to the right page here. So I don't think we actually have like a tally for mold. I can say, like, at certain developments, like Ingersoll houses, where we have significant roof issues.
So you don't have a tally of how many
Of how many
units
have
are
been?
offline?
Well, we have a total number of that are offline, but not due to mold. Not due to mold
Not due to mold, okay.
specifically. We have 48 cases where we've removed residents from apartments due to mold, and 10 have been returned to the original unit. 20 made a permanent unit transfer, and 18 are ongoing. Though that number seems a little bit low to me. We do relocation on a daily basis. One of the things we didn't talk about here is how really relocation has been transformative in NYCC through lead,
Right.
through asbestos, and for mold. So we relocate residents pretty much on a daily basis. For lead alone, we're relocating around 200 to 300 residents a month for lead abatement, and on top of that, we're relocating probably 60 to 80 per month for asbestos abatement. And then as part of that as well, we also have a number of cases per month for mold. We want to get residents out of uninhabitable conditions. We work with hotels. We have a great relocation program. And then we want to move folks out. If we also move folks to other hospitality units, or we try to facilitate permanent transfers pursuant to, under our TSAP rules. If we can do that to get the uninhabitable unit offline, treat it as a vacant apartment, restore it, and then allow that resident to have some relief and live in a better apartment. So relocation has been transformative.
Okay.
We could also provide you after this hearing the number that are offline due to like
Yeah,
repair
if we can
issues.
get that number, I appreciate
That's
it.
no
Thank you. Before I move forward with my questions, let me just recognize Councilmember Councilmember Salamanca, who's joined by us via Zoom. Going back to my questions, how many buildings were identified as needing ventilation upgrades in 2020?
1,056.
And how many have been completed?
100% for roof fan upgrades, 100% on vent cleaning, where we've attempted that resulted in 85% access rate.
Okay.
And we're about, we have 100% in 334 buildings for volume dampers, and which resulted in 28,289 dampers being installed. And we're currently working at 392 buildings. 395 buildings. So in total right now, we're about 34% in on the rollout of that effort.
And what's the time frame for the remaining upgrades?
That will be going through 2028.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what impact have completed upgrades had on mold reoccurrences?
We actually see a pretty significant impact. We see a 54% reduction in poor ventilation complaints. And 32% reduction in the bathroom related for poor ventilation. And one of the key indicators of why we attribute seeing a reduction in the new volume of cases coming in for mold is certainly the strong standard procedure, which identifies root causes and does the remediation. But of course, the ventilation upgrades, that was massive.
Right, okay. Well, NYCC's Phase 1 Mold and Leak Action Plan from 2020 indicated that there would be a Phase 2 Mold and Leak Action Plan forthcoming. Has such a Phase 2 plan ever been developed or published? And if so, when can we find it? Or if not, why not?
Yeah, we've been working with the Federal Monitor on drafting it, so it's in initial stages. I don't think we have a date that we could commit to yet, though.
No date, okay. When it comes to the ombudsperson on OCC, how many ombudsperson orders has NYCC received, and how many have been fully complied with?
So we treat all of them as orders. So in OCC.
So how many orders have been
32, they've had 32,000.
We reached about 31,500 residents.
And how many have been fully complied with?
We're in process of complying. I think right now we have about 500 that are open that we're continuously working. So they go through a cycle of like coming in and we work with them and then they get closed out. So there's always about like 500 to 600 that we're working at a time.
Okay. Well, we've heard today from several residents who learned about the OCC through community groups and other external partners. What type of outreach is being done? Does NYCC does itself to ensure that residents know about the OCC?
I'm gonna answer the first part. Then I'm gonna refer to you. But if correct me if I'm wrong, every mold receipt that the resident receives, because after they receive their inspection, they get a mold receipt, has the OCC's phone number on it. There's also multiple, like, it's basically built into the NYCC structure, so Elena can talk about it more detailed, but we try to get it out there. I talk about it all the time. We want people to know about it. So go ahead.
Yeah. I would
Yeah,
thank you, Dan. I'm gonna just echo that and say that we've built in OCC contact information just without any avenue that we have where we interface with residents. So we do this through CCC. We do this through issuing through the mold receipt. Whenever we finish an inspection, we issue a mold receipt that indicates the ombudsperson call center contact information. We also had a whole mold campaign that we've done as part of our mold action plan.
Right.
And we've developed content, printed material, webpage, as well as testimonials where we include OCC through it all. My team, the mold response unit team, is present in communities, and we certainly have a stronger presence during family days where we issue those handbooks and promote, again, OCC, and we'll take in cases and
Thank you.
work through them.
Does the outreach apply to Section 9 residents as well as PAC residents?
It does.
So what has been the specific?
I'm sorry, OCC applies to packed locations as well.
And what specific outreach has been done?
If I may call in
residents in the PAC?
Heather Beck, Deputy Chief for our Real Estate Department, to speak more on that side of the operation. Thank you.
Just before you begin, if you could, excuse me, raise your right hand, please. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth before this committee and to respond honestly to council member questions?
I do.
And then just before you begin, if you could state your name and title for the record, please.
Of course. My name is Heather Beck. I'm the Deputy Chief Real Estate Officer in the Real Estate Department at NYCC. Thank you for the question. So as Alina stated, we do require our partners to share outreach about the OCC to all of the residents in the PAC portfolio. This is something we track during pre-development and after closing. We've created standard flyers for all of our partners to use, so there's consistent messaging.
And they're posted up throughout the entire development?
Yeah, they should issue it in the mail to each household, and then I was just at a site last week.
You do
they
mailing,
post it
or do they post it in the lobby areas of the development?
They do both.
How do you verify compliance?
We monitor that through our planning meetings with them. We have check-ins with them ahead of conversion to make sure they have mailings prepped, and then we meet with them consistently after conversion to make sure they're following through with that, along with a number of other requirements for the program.
Okay. Does that outreach, okay, well, sorry about that. Has NYCC heard about possible resident confusion between the CCC and the OCC? And does NYCC do any outreach specifically to correct such confusion and ensure that residents know that the OCC is completely independent of NYCC?
Every communication about the OCC that we do states that they're independent. The OCC also, when they receive a call, they require that the resident have a complaint open with the CCC first, because they don't want to be the first impression. They want to make sure the resident has given NYCC an opportunity to address it before it becomes an OCC case.
Okay.
But everything that we do with the OCC always states that they're independent. That's all of our mailings do. Yeah, all of our communication.
Well, has NYCC considered employing the OCC model in any other areas of its property management?
We have not, but we have taken ideas from the OCC model to apply them to NYCHA.
Okay.
For example, the team, the MRU team, they were so effective working with the OCC that we expanded them out to work on court cases, which apply like also HPD violations. So we actually have them now working on court cases throughout the city to
Okay.
ensure that we're responding in that measure. The maintenance cares program that I mentioned is also an OCC style program in that we are escalating internally and tracking internally cases within operations that we believe are in desperate need of repair or relocation. We're doing that internally. We've seen the OCC data models, which I work directly with independent data analysts on several of the tools that they've built. They're extremely impressive. We've now worked with internal teams at NYCHA to build out similar dashboards to cover other areas of repair. For example, on skilled trades data, maintenance work orders, where we've used similar screens and breakdowns of data to help improve performance. The scheduling tool that was built by the federal monitor is very similar to what we OCC tools. So though we don't have the OCC call center, the OCC model we've used throughout the agency to improve our data-driven approach to resident and customer service.
When it comes to staff and training, how many skilled trade workers are assigned to mold remediation, and how many maintenance workers are assigned to mold remediation?
So the answer for skilled trades is all of them. So I'm going to give you I actually asked this question. I knew you were going to ask this question about skilled trades. So I had it sent to me on my phone.
There we go.
So I'm going to tell you the skilled trades breakdown. And look, we always need more skilled trades. We have a new special team that the Restore and Renew initiative, where we hired special skilled trades just to focus on mold, but that's one development at a time.
Right.
Our workers are skilled trades who I oversee. They work on mold every single day. Every maintenance worker works on mold. Caretaker X's work on mold. That's another craft at NYCHA. So in terms of our skilled trades, our current rundown, and this does not include vacancies. This is our budgeted headcount. Some trades get impacted by civil service vacancies. So bricklayers, they're going to do a lot of the concrete work on the ceilings in the bathrooms around mold. There's in Brooklyn. I just got it by borough, which is easier. So bricklayers in Manhattan, we got 13. Got 16 in the Bronx. Got 7 in Queens, Staten Island, and 18 in Brooklyn. For carpenters who are doing the tub enclosure work, which is critical to leaks in the bathrooms. They actually are responsible for installing the tub enclosures. Cabinets also get molded, the wooden cabinets, and those also are a big scope for carpenters. And windows. So we have 76 carpenters in Manhattan. We have 64 in the Bronx. We have 33 in Queens, Staten Island, and 72 in Brooklyn. Plasters. So plasters is another major trade. This is a trade that we have a big plaster needs in our developments, but this is a trade that is unique to NYCHA. There really is not plaster anywhere like it anywhere else in the city, so it's a very hard trade for us to hire. But in terms of plasters, 78 in Manhattan, 63 in the Bronx, 29 in Queens, Staten Island, and 72 in Brooklyn. And lastly, I'll just do the plumbers, unless you want me to get into any others. But the plumbers, obviously critical to leaks. So in Manhattan, we're budgeted for 35 plumbers. Bronx, we're budgeted for 36. 13 in Queens and Staten Island, and 43 in Brooklyn. This also does not include the supervisors who are not mechanics but oversee the plumbing work. So that staff, we added staff under work order form, and we're always trying to get a few more people here and there. But honestly, it's not enough to meet some of the requirements that we talked about.
How many additional workers does NYCHA need to meet the benchmarks?
As many as NYCHA can afford. That's how many that we need. We need a lot more, especially plumbers, and painters are a big one too, because painters do a lot of the mold cleaning under the NYCHA rules.
So what are you doing to address the staffing shortage?
What we're doing, NYCHA's at a budgetary, in a little bit of a budgetary challenge right now. We still are struggling with rent arrears that accrued post-COVID. We also have the threats of the funding cuts at the federal level, which are certainly concerning, very concerning as we follow the news. And so this year we're not going to be adding any more. That's not in our plans to add any more, other than the Restore and Renew initiative, which is adding 32 trades to address those high work order sites, when that will be very helpful. We are on overtime. We are budgeted for overtime, and this year I'm proud to say we're on budget for our overtime, but we use overtime extensively every single day for our plumbers. This year we're focusing our overtime on emergencies. We're focusing our overtime on leak repairs, on mold, on lead. And in addition to that, we do a lot of work on turnovers, which is also essential for getting residents to live in decent, safe, and sanitary apartments, given the number of transfers that we have.
Thank you.
Sorry.
What training do workers receive on mold remediation? And how often is the training updated? And who provides the actual training?
Sure. Our training is provided by Environmental Education Associates, called EEA. When it comes down to our inspectors, they receive a 5-day training that evaluates building science, like what is mold, why is it important. It provides an overview on root causes and restoration methods. Our standard procedure has 30 root causes as well as 14 remediation plans. So it's not simple. It's not just a few. And they also learn the handheld, how to be able to work and document the work. They will learn how to use the tools, how to identify mold conditions, and come up with remediation. So that's one. Our most popular titles that get trained in that are our superintendents, property maintenance supervisors, assistant property maintenance supervisors. We've in 2022 expanded it to maintenance workers in order to improve our response to perform immediate initial inspection. And then there's, of course, spin-offs like obviously my team in Omar is all trained in that performs inspections, and they have various titles. And for skilled trades, anybody that is performing remediations get remediation training. We are about 4,100 trained under remediation. And so that would be your maintenance workers, that would be your caretaker X's that would perform mold removal, that would be your skilled trades that are doing this work. There they will also learn about the importance of mold, proper remediation practices, proper containment, proper PPE, to make sure to respond to it accordingly.
Okay. Now, just to move on to some budget questions. What was Nycc's budget for mold and leak remediation for FY24? And what is the budget also for 2025?
I could tell you on 2025 right now. We could go back on 2024 if that's okay. I don't have it in front of me. But we have about 20 million in operating right now. We have 116 staff members on my team. And we have a 55 million federal capital budget over the next 5 years, if all goes well.
And I want to make one point. That does not include the money that we spend on our skilled trades, our staffing for skilled trades.
And how much is that?
So overall operations, I don't want to say the number off the top. I'll provide it to you as a follow-up, but all of our trades are funded throughout the city. So every we have in-house trades. We also have our vendor budget that we use in operations. It's a very high number. I just don't want to misquote it. So I'll get you the number for 2024 and 2025.
Is the budget sufficient to achieve compliance?
I mean, again, I would say the answer is no.
Right.
We want more funding. We need more funding to address these apartments.
Now, when it comes to the PAC, what happens to pending mold complaints when a development converts over to PAC?
Thank you for that question. The open leak and mold work orders are transitioned to the PACT partners, and they are required to create a plan to abate those.
How is that done? Can you walk me through? How do you transfer it over?
How the work orders are transferred?
Yes.
Yeah. The compliance department works with the real estate department to prepare the work order report, and those are just automatically, provided to the partner team.
So
ahead
is
of
the Rad Pack developer, are they required to have a system in place, a ticket system in place? And is that verified first before anything's transferred over?
Yes, all of our partner teams work to create their own work order system ahead of the conversion to make sure they're ready to address work orders, new ones that arise after conversion, and they are required to put together a plan for the work orders that are transferring from Nycc to the new property management team. And then the Nycc compliance and real estate department will work with the partner to ensure that they're following their plan and close out the work orders that are transitioned to them.
And the work orders that are transitioned over, do they maintain the same work order number that was given initially under Nycc, or does that change in the new system?
I don't think I have that level of detail. I would assume they put them in their own system.
Because we've known situations where some of the Rad Pack developers haven't had a ticket system for close to 2 to 3 years in. And residents have kind of been left in the dark over, those existing work orders that were put in prior to the conversion taking place. So what is being done to keep the resident informed about the work orders that are being transitioned over to these new developers?
Thank you for that question and that comment. I think our role after the conversion through our asset management team is really to make sure that the team is conducting the repairs as they planned and outlined, and that they're closing the work orders appropriately. They need to work with the households, each household, to gain access to those units to conduct the work and complete the work order. So that communication will happen directly through the property management team to that household in a number of ways. And that can look similar to the way that Nycc does it, but it is direct outreach and engagement with that household. If they're to get in the unit to conduct the work, they need to have access to the unit.
Okay, so how does oversight look over the PAC when it comes to mold remediation?
Yeah, thank you for that question. And I do think it's important for us to just
also how do you maintain it? Because that's been an issue of concern too as well.
Yeah, thank you. Just to take a step back, I do want to note that the PACT developments and the PACT properties are under a different agreement through the Baez settlement. And so that settlement agreement was effective late December 2021. We call that the Baez PACT settlement. And really, that agreement ensures that Nycc residents in converted properties are afforded protections that align with the intent of the original Baez decree or agreement, but they are different requirements. And Nycc's role at the PAC sites after conversion is significantly different than when we are the active property manager. As you know, we require our partners to submit monthly reports to the real estate department related to a number of things. So that's related to maintenance and repairs, to tenancy, and to construction updates while the developments are under construction. As part of their as part of their maintenance and repairs reporting, they report to us on their leak and mold work orders. Under the PACT agreement, we require that partners are responding to and abating leak and mold work orders within 30 days, and we are able to monitor that through those monthly reports. That information is shared.
The developer or the new management company reports, does a monthly report.
To us, yeah. And that information is also shared online through our public dashboard. You can see that information kind of rolled up on a quarterly basis.
So
But the reports,
those are existing orders. I mean, existing orders.
requirements.
Work orders, yeah.
The existing work orders that are transitioned are just related to leak and mold. The other work orders are work orders that are created for the project or the development by residents on a monthly basis.
Okay, and then okay, so those would be sort of the ones that are created. Okay.
If I can just add, I do want to share that the monthly reports are shared with our compliance department and the independent mold analyst and the independent data analyst. And so those are all reviewed, not just by the real estate department, but the mold and leak ones are shared with the IMA and the IDA to ensure that the partners are closing those appropriately within the required timelines. And they include information on the work orders in their quarterly reports.
All right. Well, that concludes my questions. Thank you again, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
I'm going to open the hearing up for public testimony. Now, I want to remind members of the public that this is a government proceeding and decorum shall be observed at all times. As such, members of the public shall remain silent at all times. The witness table is reserved for people who wish to testify. No video recording or photography is allowed from the witness table. Members of the public may not present audio or video recordings as testimony, but may submit transcripts of such recordings to the Sergeant of Arms for inclusion in the hearing record. If you wish to speak at today's hearing, please fill out an appearance card with the Sergeant of Arms and wait to be recognized. When recognized, you will have 2 minutes to speak on today's hearing topic. And if you wish to submit a written a statement or additional written testimony for the record, please give a copy to the Sergeant of Arms. You may also email written testimony to testimony@councilnyc.gov within 72 hours of this hearing. Audio and video recordings will not be accepted. So now we will begin with the Reverend Gertilio Jr. Gertulio. We got you, sir. Good, Rev. Good to see you. And we also have Reverend Francis Skelly. Two good reverends. If you wanna flip a coin, which you go first. Thank you. You may begin your testimony.
I'm Reverend Getulio Cruz Jr., Senior Pastor, Montesión Christian Church, and co-chair of Band Together, Metro IF. Half my congregation lives in Nycc housing along the East River, and we've been organizing for justice in public housing since 1996. And here's the good news. Progress is possible. For years, tenants fought just to get basic repairs. Nycc's response kept getting worse, but we didn't give up. We organized. Eventually, we filed the Bias versus Nycc lawsuit. And when the consent decree was revised in 2018, 2019, things finally began to shift. That decree brought real oversight. Independent mold analysts, IMA microecologies, identified what needed fixing. Independent data analyst, Stout, showed how to better use Nycc's resources, and the Ombudsperson call center started getting, which is the OCC, started getting mold and leak repairs done. The results, over 31,500 families have received real repairs from the OCC alone, and tens of thousands more have benefited from other bias-related work. We worked hand in hand with OCC, IDA, IMA, and committed NYCC staff like Dan Green and Elena Tench-Ikova to make this happen. But too many tenants are still waiting months, even years for help. And that's why we're pushing for more. Just last week, Metro IF brought together over 1,750 people, tenant leaders, clergy, elected officials. Assemblymember Mandani and former Governor Cuomo committed $100 million to expand the OCC model and appoint a deputy mayor to ensure accountability. This investment will clear the repair backlog, modernize NYCC's scheduling systems, expand successful pilots like the Building Line Initiative, and ensure all repairs, not just mold and leaks, are done right. We know what works. We've seen it. Now we need the city council to help scale it. Father Skelly is next.
You can you finish with your...
Well, Father Skelly will now share how tenants are connecting with the OCC and how it can help even more tenants improve their quality of life.
Thank you for your testimony. Father Scully.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Father Frank Skelly. I'm a Redemptorist priest assigned to the Archdiocese of New York. I have ministered in East Harlem for 15 years and in the South Bronx for 20 years. Both parishes had many NYCC residents. I became a member of Metro IF in 1994, and in the year 2000 began a heavy involvement and issues with NYCC. I served a parish in Brooklyn for 4 years where there was no public housing, Sunset Park. When I came back to the Bronx in 2023, a faithful parishioner who always came to church approached me and asked, "Are you still the NYCC priest?" and then told me about a recurring leak and mold. When I asked, "Did you call the OCC?" she responded, "What?" She said she had several tickets and then called the CCC. I gave her the OCC number and received a fruit basket the following Sunday because the OCC resolved her problem with the leak from above. Another parishioner described the OCC as an answer to prayer when a similar leak from above was taken care of. Reverend Cruz mentioned the Baez case and consent decree. Marilyn Baez was a parishioner of Immaculate Conception in the South Bronx. The legal proceedings were a difficult journey and finally resulted in the consent decree and the creation of the OCC. In retrospect, it might not have been the best acronym since it sounds so much like the CCC, which is the call center for NYCC. People do get confused. The City Council, as we've heard, introduced legislation requiring the city to inform NYCC residents of the new call center for the mold ombudsman. At times, it seems that this legislation has been effective as some of my sermons. Pastors like to think that the congregation hangs on your every word, but that is not the case most times. Flyers in the church bulletin gave the new number for the OCC. I talked about the OCC, and still people asked, are they ever going to fix the mold? We all need to do a better job in making the OCC known. I was recently at a RAD-packed meeting, and there was about 100 people there in Melrose houses. I asked, how many of you know about the OCC? This was in June. 2 raised their hand. The 2 were my church, in my church. And it came up about expanding the OCC. I have suggested that the OCC should be expanded to pests and waste. Pests and waste are also a part of the asthma situation. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony and your great advocacy. I know you were both involved with the bias consent decree, and I want to know what kind of outreach would you like to see NYCC do to make sure that residents know about the OCC? And based off of your experience, do you feel like you've seen the goals and the ideals of the bias settlement implemented on the ground in the decades since the settlement was approved?
Well, actually, we're seeing a big improvement.
Okay.
But communication is paramount. You know, improving the communication is very important. We would like to see the IT department in NYCC, because they have their own IT, to be as creative and as responsive as the OCC is.
Okay. Reverend Skelly?
Yeah, I would agree with Reverend Cruz. I've been with this for 25 years now. Originally, there was great pushback from NYCC. The present group that we're working with, there's some pushback, but it's vastly improved. It's vastly improved. And again, Richie Torres has made videos about the OCC. We've tried all kinds of things, but it doesn't seem to hit the people.
Right.
You know, you can say it, and then they come, and again, I was just recently in an apartment, and they were showing me mold, and I said, did you call the OCC? And I gave the person the number because I have it on my phone. So there's really a lack of, communication. As I mentioned, you like to think that people are listening, they're not.
Right.
Until they have a leak.
That's true.
And then they come looking, what's the solution?
Well, what are your thoughts on the current implementation of the ombudsperson and the OCC? And do you think there are ways to improve that model?
As I said, I think it could be expanded to pest and waste. It's a working model.
Okay.
And anybody I've referred to the OCC comes back and thanks me.
Yeah, and I'm glad that NYCC, through Daniel Green and everybody else that's really cares about the tenants, they're learning a lot and using a lot of what they're learning from the OCC. But we want to see the OCC expand. But of course, you got to provide, not you, but people have to provide the resources, and they do need money to do those capital repairs, and that's very important.
And what additional changes would you like to see NYCC make with regard to mold and leak remediation?
To get the leaks, they already got the leak standard finalized.
Okay.
It's implementing it, doing the training, everything they did with the mold. If they do it with the leak, that's going to be significant.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, I know a lot of capital improvement is needed. These buildings are old, the piping is old, and this is one of the things with RADPAC, when they're taking on the building, they have to put in new piping, and sometimes that's not happening.
So true. And I guess that's a good question for NYCC.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we will now turn to the remote testimony. Once your name is called, a member of our staff will unmute you, and the Sergeant of Arms will give you the go-ahead to begin. Please wait for the sergeant to announce that you may begin before delivering your testimony. We will now begin with Yolanda Moore.
You may begin.
Ms. Moore,
Can you hear me?
we can hear you.
All right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Chair and committee members. My name is Yolanda Moore, and I am the EBC leader as well as a longtime resident of New York City Housing Authority. I lived in New York City housing since 1972 and currently reside at East New York Boulevard Houses. In 2020, Boulevard Houses underwent a significant transformation when it converted from Section 9 to RADPAC. After the completion of the RADPAC conversion, major renovations were undertaken. However, once these renovations were finished, tenants at the Boulevard Houses, including myself, began experiencing persistent and severe issues with mold, water leaks throughout the buildings, as well as serious other problems. The presence of mold and ongoing water leaks had significantly impacted the quality of life for many residents here. The issues pose health risk and create challenging living conditions, especially for families and the elderly tenants. To address these problems, the residents of Boulevard Houses, with the support of EBC and Metro IEF, organized and engaged with the OCC. We have relied heavily on the OCC for assistance. The OCC has proven to be an invaluable resource, helping tenants navigate the process of reporting and resolving mold and water leak issues, advocating for necessary repairs, and ensuring our voices are heard by housing management and city officials. Boulevard Houses has a long way to go before life returns to normal. We continue to push management to resolve challenges such as plumbing issues, heating problems, security, and are ongoing to push them on the threat of mass evictions, as well as difficulties in communicating between management and residents. However, we are grateful to the OCC for improving our living conditions.
You may
We
continue.
appreciate we make con- we appreciate the committee's attention to these ongoing concerns and urge continued oversight and support to ensure that all residents of Boulevard Houses and all public housing tenants can live in safe, healthy, and well-maintained homes. Thank you for your time and consideration. Thank you, my favorite councilman.
I have a question for you, Ms. Moore.
Sure.
Um, Based on your experience, do you feel like you have seen the? Hold on, let me. I'm sorry about that. Let me go back to my. So, oh, sorry about that. Do apologize. If there is one recommendation you would like to make to NYCC to improve its handling of mold and leak complaints, what would it be?
To enforce oversight accountability on developers and to implement the OCC system as a permanent system and getting rid of mold and water leaks. They need to really enforce oversight accountability on developers when it comes to mold and leaks or any kind of maintenance issue.
And thus far, I know you speak to a lot of residents in Boulevard and you advocate for a lot of the residents in Boulevard houses. What would you say would be the overall experience? Would you say would be positive with NYCH's more remediation, remediating units?
You mean the renovations?
Well, in this situation, the renovations.
What's the positive?
Yes. What's the positive?
It's I don't have an answer for that right now because we're dealing with so many issues and we've attained more issues after the renovation. The mold and water leaks became doubled and tripled after the renovation. So I don't have an answer about anything positive as of yet. What I do have positive is that the OCC system is working to resolve those issues.
And from your knowledge, was there ever a overall of the plumbing at Boulevard houses?
Not during, we
Was
had no
that part of the
plumbing.
work scope? Are you familiar with the overall overhaul of the plumbing system or the piping?
No overhaul of the plumbing system was done at Boulevard Houses during the renovation. We had no plumbing upgrades done, none.
And would you say that has led to the persistent mold and leaking?
Absolutely, we believe so. The tenants believe so. Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Ms. Moore, and thank you for your advocacy.
Thank you, Councilman.
Uh, we will now proceed to Stephanie Pitts.
You may begin.
Ms. Pitts, Stephanie Pitts, you may begin your testimony.
I'm sorry. Hello?
Hey, how you doing, Ms. Pitts?
I'm good. How are you? I thought I had unmuted myself.
It's all right.
I'm sorry. I've been living in New York City housing for over 50 years, and I was having problems with leaks. For the last 3 years, I was begging housing to come into my apartment. It wasn't until I took them to court and I was contacted by Miss LaConya Jones from the Mold and Response Unit. When I tell you I was blessed when I was contacted by Ms. Jones, she informed me that she was working on my case and that uh, and that would be an understatement. Ms. Jones took her job seriously. She went above and beyond to make sure my problem was solved. She was caring, concerned about my well-being and the condition of my apartment. Ms. Jones and her team were very kept in contact with me throughout the procedure of my apartment being renovated, being done, not renovated, being fixed for the molds. I am a senior with breathing problems, and it wasn't until Miss Connie and the mold system reached out that my apartment was fully done. And if I can complain about those that don't work, I can complain about those that do work. And the mold and response unit went beyond their job in helping me get my apartment together.
Thank you. If there was one recommendation you could make to NYCC to improve its handling of mold and leak complaints, what would it be?
I would say to come out and check the apartments thoroughly. I would say to keep in contact with the tenants because we put in tickets and what they do, they send people out and they put band-aids on it. And that's what was happening with me. They kept sending someone out and they wasn't doing the right thing. And then once the mold and response unit got in touch, it was like everything went into effect because I even went to the courts and told the judge how pleased I was with the work that the mold and response unit had done. Because if they don't look out for the seniors, and not only the seniors, those that live in housing, and we having breathing problems, who else is going to look out for us?
Thank you for your testimony.
You're welcome. And I would say that the mold and response unit, one thing I can truly say, they take their job seriously. They really do. And they're concerned about the tenants.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. All right, so now we're gonna. Before I was remiss if I didn't recognize Councilmember Velez, who has joined us. Now we'll move on to Donna Eldon. Okay, we have actually an in-person testimony from Christopher Leon Johnson. Should I read the Before you begin, Christopher, just want to read this clause again. I'm opening up the hearing to public testimony again. I remind members of members of the public that this is a governmental proceeding and decorum shall be observed at all times. As such, members of the public shall remain silent at all times. The witness table is reserved for people who wish to testify. No video recording or photography is allowed for the witness table. Members of the public may not present audio or video recordings as testimony, but may submit transcripts of such recordings to the Sergeant of Arms for inclusion into the hearing record. And if you wish to speak at today's hearing, please feel free to fill out the appearance card with the Sergeant of Arms. Christopher Johnson, you are recognized. We can hear you press the button.
Hello, Chair Banks, Chair Velez. My name is Christopher Leon Johnson. I just want to say here today that I know that NYCC does their best to mitigate the mold in their developments. People that I try to work with NYCC tell me that they do their best to mitigate the mold in the developments. My feeling is that there's certain developments that are really left behind, and like Chelsea and Fulton, because what's going on is that what they want to do is find a way to demolish those two developments. I'm calling on the city council to make a public statement to make it where that NYCC keeps Chelsea and Fulton public, and because there's a lot of things that's going on in those developments. Not only with just mold, and that's only part of it. It's the quality of life, it's the smells of the hallways, and our council member over there, Eric Botcher, refuses to address it because he's down with closing down Nycc to give it to the developers. I'm just saying here today that we need to keep Nycc public. We cannot privatize Nycc, and and that's what I gotta say. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Okay. If we had inadvertently missed anyone that has registered to testify today and has yet have been called, please use the Zoom raise hand function if you are testifying remotely, and you will be called in order that your hand has been raised. If you are testifying in person, please come to the dais. Seeing none, I will now close the hearing. Thank you to all the members of the administration and the members of the public who have joined us today to discuss this very important topic. This hearing is now adjourned.